Good day to everyone watching. Sim Broadcasts is proud to present the Fragmaster's Fox Endurance season finale for 2020. It is going to be 150 laps of the Kyoto Ring Oval. Jonathan Palmer with you, along with Travis Mehlinger. Pete Butcher is the man with the cameras today. And Travis, we are going to have a whale of a show today. The Fox is a lovely, nimble car, but has quite a lot of power and punches a huge hole in the air and can get quite wild with a group of cars.
It does. The start of these races are usually pretty exciting because the cars are close together, and as you said, they punch a huge hole in the air. The draft is king. The slipstream is king around this track. The guys who will run near the front will be running close to one another, trading positions a lot. The guys who fall far back will be the guys who don't do as well, kind of negotiating and trading the draft. So it'll be tight at the start. They don't do a safety car, if I recall correctly. Am I right about that?
That's correct. No safety car.
Yeah, no safety car. So the any carnage is final. Yeah, this will be good.
So the Kyoto Oval is a generally D-shaped oval, and it's kind of like Pocono in Long Pond, Pennsylvania, that NASCAR races at and Indy cars raced at, which Pocono, bit of trivia, was first designed as an open wheel track. But three primary corners, all three have different bankings. And actually, back in the Kyoto 250 time, Martin Kapal and I discovered that the banking here is progressive, which means it's slightly lower in the track and slightly higher towards the top of the track. Turn 1 is the widest, turn 3 is the tightest, turn 2 is moderate, and then there's a kink on the main straight that if you're not entirely careful, you might ping off of. It's 3 kilometers, 1.9 miles. Qualifying is 2 hot laps today, and of course the race 150 laps with a standard standing start. Travis, I'm sure in your times on the oval you might have hit that kink 1 or 2 times.
I can't recall a time that I ever bumped the kink. I definitely put a lot of rubber on the wall coming out of turn 3. It's as you said, the banking is progressive. All the corners are a little bit different. Turn 3 is really tricky because whereas most oval tracks and even this track, Kyoto Ring, where the racing line is kind of at the bottom, the profile of turn 3 changes a little bit. So the line isn't at the bottom all the way around. The exit to the corner could be a little bit misleading. It's a challenge for the drivers to get it right and find the most speed around there.
A quick look at the car, the Formula XR, abbreviated the Fox, quite popular in speed as a whole. Fragmaster has been doing races with the Fox for well over 10 years. Earlier this year, we had the 500th Fox Friday, the 10th anniversary. We also had the 500th, or 500th, as Pete would always call it, Fox Friday. It is a 2-liter inline 4 rear-wheel drive car, weighing in at just under 500 kilos, and with 190 brake horsepower. It's a small car, Travis, and it's slightly underpowered, but it is actually surprisingly nimble.
It is. I had a lot of fun driving this car over the years in Live for Speed. It's interesting because I think a lot of people compare it to the Formula BMW. The Formula BMW has a motorcycle engine in it, slightly less power. The weight is about the same. The Formula BMW is a little bit twitchier. This car generally feels pretty well planted, but it has just enough power where you can brake traction at the rear. You can kind of steer with the throttle. And as we said earlier, it punches an enormous hole in the air, so it makes for really exciting racing in packs around a fast track like this.
Frequently compared to the Formula Renault. So a quick look at the track. We've got Tejo's Christian on his second flying lap. Al Payson for Fragmaster, just getting ready to start his. Christian, his outlap was a 45.65. Provision pole right now is Teo's Pantheo with a 45.64. So you'll see in qualifying, times will generally be within tenths of each other. You'll see lots of people on the same time. And so you get 2 outlaps, or 1 outlap and 2 hot laps. That first outlap, most people treat as a throwaway lap to give a better run for that second lap to get extra. You'll have more heat in the tires. You'll have very light fuel. Christian third fastest so far with a 45.65. Al Payson now coming to complete his first lap.
Yeah, just watched Al Payson come around turn 3. Not sure if we caught it on the stream or not, since he was just starting his lap. But he demonstrated what Jonathan was talking about just a moment ago, where he was willing to throw away that first lap in order to make sure he was carrying as much speed as possible around the top of the racetrack and preserve that momentum all the way down the front stretch and through the kink, so that his second lap will ideally be really quick. In fact, we can see it on the board. His best lap, which would be his first flying lap, was a 47.07, pretty far off the benchmark time. This lap that he's coming around to complete right now should be a fair bit quicker. In fact, he's coming across the line right now to set a 45.77. Not quite at the top, but substantially quicker than his first lap, almost a second and a half quicker. So, Deco?
Global Gaming's Gustas on a lap now. He just started his first timed lap. Gustas in Global Gaming has done several races this season, riding right up against the wall here on this second lap, which increases the lap distance, which serves to scrub by natural friction a bit of extra heat in the tire. And it is the complete opposite of what you want on the oval. You will want to arc gently into the corners, clip the apex ever so slightly, and then just gently ease the steering back out. The smoother you are, the more speed you can maintain. Arc it down into turn 1. Nice wide sweeping corners. Hold it to the inside, bring it. Walk it gently out to the wall. Some drivers will stay about a car width or 2 away from the wall. Turn 2 with some of the highest banking will help you turn. And down the longest back straight of the course into turn 3. Some drivers will take turn 3 as a double apex, come slightly off the apex and hit it. In the road cars, especially the XRT and the XRG, you'll actually take the high line through 3 all the time to keep a little more speed. There is a bump in the middle of turn 3, Travis, that can upset the car if you aren't ready for it.
Yeah, I had forgotten about that earlier. Gustas just went across the line for pole position with a 45.63, 100th quicker. Yeah, as we were saying, there is a bump through the corner. I had forgotten about it when we were talking about the profile of that corner earlier, but that does, you're right, that makes it a bit more tricky because it can be a double apex if you drive it that way. It is a double apex if you drive it in some of the slower tin top cars. And then the little hump in the middle of the corner makes the line further challenging. Basically, the challenge to this track, to finding the most speed, is getting the line through turn 3 correct to make one nice, as much as you can, one nice sweeping movement of the steering wheel, carrying speed over the bump without scrubbing off time, and then getting a good exit up turn 3. It's hard. It is deceptively difficult watching these cars go around on stream like this because it looks much easier than it is when you're in the seat, in control of the car.
Oval racing is easy. You're just making a bunch of left turns. Not quite. Vinsu goes P5 on his run. Born to Race Spiky out now to be the 7th car on the track, coming to complete his first hot lap. Gustas Pole with a 47.63 provisionally. Pantheo still second. Number 3rd with a 45.65. Then Christian, Vinsu, and Al Payson running out 7. Spiky immediately goes P7 with a 46.49 and arcs it to the inside. The wall that you see to the inside of turns 1 and 3 is designed to keep cars in pit lane from jumping up onto the racing line, surprisingly. That'll become important in the race when we have compulsory pit stops.
Is it not also to keep drivers from going on the racing surface down there to cut the track, or does that make as much of a difference?
It can have that purpose too, but sometimes the transition from the banking to the flat, and the fact that you're on the flat, scrubs off more speed than it would be worth in the shorter distance. Spiky coming across the line to complete his second timed lap goes fifth fastest with a 45.66. Global Gaming Simjitas coming through turn 3 now on his second flying lap. Born to Race's Ayub right behind him to start his first flying lap.
Ayub may be a little bit close to start his first flying lap here. He might get the influence of the slipstream here, which might draw a bit of scrutiny from his competitors. I wonder if, talking about Spiky a moment ago, I wonder if Spiky might have gone a little bit quicker. His outlap was awfully fast in the middle of the 46s. I wonder if he sacrificed a little bit of speed on his second lap by going a bit quick, maybe not taking the wide momentum line around his first lap. Still near the top. I don't think it'll affect him much. It's so close at the front, but we'll see if that affects him in the race. If that number of positions at the start makes a difference for him or not. Simjint is coming around. Take it away, Deco.
Simjintas, usually quite fast in most cars. P22 in the Drivers' Championship so far. Only goes 6th fastest with a 45.67, but that is only 4/100ths off of the pole time. Ayub in turn 1 now on his second timed lap. Qualifying is not as important on the oval compared to, say, a South City or a Fern Bay. With the draft and working with somebody, you can easily go from 30th in a 30-car grid to first before the second lap's complete.
You
getting
can
a great
wear it.
Start from a standing start is not as important because you'll be mincemeat by turn 2.
Yeah, the one way in which it can make a difference as Ayub comes around to finish his second time lap, he doesn't improve. He's on a 45.82. The one way in which it makes a difference is avoiding the first lap carnage. If you can be in the first 1 or 2, maybe 3, 4 positions where you're running side by side on this nice wide track, if all of the accidents are happening behind you, that's where it can make a big difference. Otherwise, absolutely correct. The car punches a big enough hole in the air, the draft is strong enough that you can go from back to front pretty quickly.
Trespasser on a run now. Having done a few rounds of the season, is in P43. Through turn 2 now. Trespasser in last weekend's 6 hours of Aston for TBO Challenge, setting the fastest lap of the race with the Fragmaster. Coming out of turn number 3 now. And arcing towards the kink. And across the line goes P1 with a 45.62, 1/100th of a second faster than Gustas. Now Sigitas in Sigitas second. Turn 3 to complete his first flying lap. He's taking the low line through turn 3, so this might be a representative lap pace.
Yeah, that is apparently all Darius knows is how to go fast, because he was, as you said, he set the fastest lap in the 6-hour race last weekend. He set the fastest lap of that event while driving an absolutely insane final stint to try to make up positions after the team fell behind earlier in the race. As we get an abort there from Sige, set a 45.64 and then bailed out.
Well, that's the 4th fastest, so why bother?
Yeah, exactly. Why bother? Yeah, Darius Trespasser will be a force in this race, as he always is. He's just awfully quick all the time.
Border Race is Upsus, coming to complete his first flying lap. We also have Fragmaster's Finn UK coming out to start his run, so we'll have him following Upsus.
So you can see coming through turn 3 there that Upsus, he kind of demonstrated the profile of the corner. It's much easier to see on board than it is as the car goes by on the broadcast cameras. The line, if you're taking the high line, the line kind of naturally starts wide and then finds its way kind of in the upper middle of the racetrack, crossing one of the white lines, and then comes out toward the wall again. It's wide and then it's tight again, and then it kind of opens up a little bit like miss hit miss on the Nürburgring, but with this this nice wide pavement and a wall on the outside. His first lap, representative of what we were talking about earlier, that the drivers keep it pretty wide in order to carry as much momentum as possible. Now he's on the bottom of the racetrack. He drives a little bit wide off turn 3. Looked like he straightened out pretty well, perhaps a bit wider than the other drivers. He'll bring it across the line to set a 45.62. Can't take pole position because he's the second driver to set that time, but that puts him right at the top of Trespasser.
That is the disadvantage of hot lap qualifying versus, well, qualifying of any sort, really. If you aren't the first one in that time, you don't get the highest credit. Then UK now on his final flying lap. 45.62 is the time to beat for the provisional pole position. With a 16-12 first split.
We've got a moment to be silly while he brings the car to turn 3. Do we pronounce this Finn UK or Finnuk, Deco? What do we think?
He usually goes back.
Finn UK, all right. He's coming across the line. Take it, Deco.
So down to the line now. Finn UK comes, and he'll go P11 with a 45.72.
I think I cursed him by sullying his name, Deco. I wish I could take that back.
You're a horrible, horrible man.
I am.
Rimac Motorsport coming across the line to start his timed lap. Just behind him on the road is Airtech's left starter.
I'll take a look at it while Deco's calling this.
So, driver for Rimac Motorsport, username Losex, coming through turn 3 on his final hot lap. Nice and easy outside to the outside wall, and through the kink, and across the line with a 45.66, good for P9. Airtech's F starter in turn 3 exit now. I believe Airtech will have multiple drivers in the car throughout this race. An easy run up to the wall. Again, fastest time is a smooth line and a flat to the floor accelerator. Hits that bump at turn 3, and did you see it walked him about a car's width up from the apex? And coming through the kink now to the line, and the checker flag on his run. 45.81 P14. Edgar's Pullins is the next car. He is on an outlap, ready to start his 2 timed laps.
Yeah, he got a bit far behind the others, just now coming around for his to start his first flying lap. Not sure if he was delayed coming out, or if he got maybe he slowed down to let another car by because the gap was a little bit off. We missed that. Either way, as Deco said, starting his first flying lap. He's taking the tight line, not taking the wide line that the faster drivers take to carry momentum around the track. It looked like he got a little bit of the wall there, so he may be compromising his momentum on the second lap, but we don't know anything yet. The proof will be in him setting another time, so we'll watch him come around turn 3 here and see how he does.
So P11 for Pulins on his first of 2 flying laps. Right now we have 2 drivers on the pole time. We have 2 drivers, 45.64 for P4 and 5. So the spread, of course, as we expected, not very much. Pulins, the nice tidy line through turn 3 onto the home straight again. And Pulins with a 45.65, giving him P8, the third driver on a 45.65. Just behind him is Gum Garage's Mr. Fetch. He's one of the first drivers I've seen to be on R1, R1s. A lot of other drivers I've seen have been on R3 tires. R3 being the hardest compound, 1 being the softest. With Mr. Fetch snagging the apron in turn 1 on his second flying lap, that's going to compromise that time.
Yeah, that's not the quickest way around and it shows at the split time. 16:59 is about half a second off the ultimate pace. Yeah, even through the lower banking at the bottom of the racetrack, touching the apron, the transition is so pronounced that it just completely ruin his momentum. This lap will not be anywhere near the ultimate pace.
Across the line, 46.51. 17 cars now qualified. And I believe that is everybody that we have today. So with the track quiet, we'll take a quick look at the Drivers' Championship while we wait to see if anybody else takes a qualifying run. Isaac Price and Yanni Katila, top 2 on the championship tables with on 285 points and 274. Yanni Katila, they've run together for most of the season. And then FFM Number in third with 164 points. I don't see Isaac or Yanni here today, so Number will gain some ground on that. Sidus is fast in fourth, then Pantheo, Fnatic, Firestarter, Altsu, Tejo's LBR, and Rudy tied on 9, sharing the car there. Sidus Gabor, P11. Drivers getting the points from the races they participate in from their team, so if they've been doing rounds with a teammate, a single round or multiple rounds with a teammate, it is quite likely they'll be on the same points. Manakasa, who is a frequent customer for the Fox races, is in P13 on the championship. Don't see him on the server yet. That doesn't necessarily mean he's not partaking yet today. Then we have Ayub Curry Kamikaze Onifus, Sean Lee for AirTech P18. 19th is Born to Race's Classic and Red in the number 69 car. Then we have Botsy, Simjantas, Soini, and Seba rounding out 24th. We have also in 24th Team America's Vinsu. We have Genuine Nations Unite, Nico Pantola. Master Race Car Stefan in 27th. Haraloco in P28. Maddie from Team Rock Racing in 29th. Gemini, Yari Katia in P31. 4 drivers on P32. The Road Appraisers team. TJ, Pedro, Bots, and Luis. Energy Virtual Racing, Kike Proper and Victor Veloso, P36. Global Gaming's Erotica and Gustus on 18 points in P38. Master Race Cars ARC and TR Ashton in P40. We have Born to Race Scattle, Trespasser, and Tommy B on 43rd. Al Payson in 45th. Super J 46th. Team America's Nico and Chano in 47th. And then the final page of results for Drivers' Championship. Twin Cam, new, and then Beirut, Cage, Road Appraisers Sabat, Judu, Regis, and Naga on 53rd, and Gum Garage's Mr. Fetch is 57th. So the qualifying time has been ended, so that is our starting grid. 17 cars to take the start. Trespasser on pole with Upsus alongside of him. So 45.62 for the top two, then third, Gustas with a 45.63. Teo Pantheo and Sigitas tied on time for Ps 4 and 5. Pantheo set it first with 45.64. Number Christian and Pullins, 6th, 7th, and 8th, respectively, all on 45.65. A 45.66 for P9 for Spiky. And Rimac Motorsports P10 with a 45.66. 11th is Simgentas. Then Vinsu. Fin UK with a 45.72. And then Alpace in 14th, 45.77. Firestarter in for Air Attack in P15 with a 45.81. Ayub, penultimate position with a 45.82. And Mr. Fetch will be starting 17th with a 46.09. We're just a few minutes away from the race. A quick look at the team's standings as we prepare for the start here. Isaac Price and Yanni Katia sharing the number 99 car. First in the championship on 310 points. Then the Tejo car, number 4, with 175 points. They're fourth on the grid today. Citus, number 15, on 160 points. Do not see them in the list today. Then the FM car, number 2, with number and unite throughout the season. P4. Air Attack Racing in 5th. Born to Race, driven by Ayub Classic Red, among others. And the number 69 machine in 6th position. We have Team America, a couple solo FFM entries in 8th and 9th. A matchup, they're a pairing with Simjitas and Haraloco in 10th. Team Rock Racing, P11 in the team's championship. World Class Lions, Team Mussolini and Yari Katia in 12th. Global Gaming's Erotica and Gustas, their shared car in P13. Botsy doing solo entries this season, 14th in the team championship. Stepan and Gemini, a couple other solo entries. The Road Appraisers team with TJ, Pedro, Bots, and Luis. Number 72 machine is in P17. Energy Virtual Racing, 18th. Super J, 19th. The pairing of Metro Race Cars ARC and Ashton in 20th. FFM's Alpace in 21st. Twin Cam 22nd. New 23rd. Beirut and Cage in 24th. And then two more teams representing the season. The Road Appraisers with Sabat, Dudu, and Regis, and more. 25th. And 26th is Mr. Fetch. And the other championship being tracked this season is the highest climber, for those who start low, and how many positions you climb in a race. I believe Travis has that.
Yeah, so in the highest climber championship, well ahead of everyone else, we've got Isaac Price and Yanni Katila of the World Class Lions team. Second place, we got Al Payson with 9 points. Third, we got 3 drivers tried, New, Number, Unite, and Onifus. And then going further down the order, we've got Gemini, Ayub, Classic, B2R Red in 6th place. And 8th, we've got Soini and Yari Katila. 9th, we got Erotica, Gustas, Simgentas, Hero Loco, Teo Panteo, Teo LBR. And then rounding out the order with just a few points, we've got Paropo and Veloso, Mr. Fetch, Ark, Ashton on 2, and then Beirut and Cage with 1 point. Everyone else in 0 or negative. I will hand it over to you, Deco.
All right, we're ready for the start. 150 laps of fantastic racing as we wait for the lights. And away we go. Trespasser with a great start. Everyone else is going to slip in and start establishing their drafts. In the real world, generally, you would reckon that following in a line is fastest, but the way LFS works, you'll see a bunch of overtakes. Everyone trying to survive the first lap. A
Starting
gaggle
to
at
get
the
a little
back.
bit. Sorry, Deco. Starting to get a little bit scrappy behind the leaders. Saw a few bumps coming through turn 2. They're 4 wide into turn 3 here, but so far everybody looking pretty clean and tidy.
Seeing a bit of lag from several people. We have a crash towards the back. Edgar has crashed, so that'll put him last. He can work on catching up. But going to assume he had contact with the number 89 of Air Attack as he is dropped towards the back. So we have the first 16 cars all within a quarter of a second. That will slowly start to spread out as people work together, but everybody packed together, Travis, it's very hard to work on that steady drafting as we have a bit of contact between Mr. Fetch and Unite going into turn 3.
It really is. It's hard because these guys want to establish a position and then find a partner in order to get in the draft and work the draft to try to move toward the front or at least maintain their position. But there's a lot of jockeying in order to do that when the cars are close together. So it's pretty difficult in the first couple laps to find that rhythm. Looking back after that start accident, doesn't look like Poland's is affected too badly. I don't see any damage on the car. Obviously, Firestarter got into the wall. His car's going to be bent a little bit, so he'll be off the pace, but didn't affect anyone else. Everyone else ahead of them still running, starting to establish the draft. They'll trade positions over and over again to try to find the fastest way around the circuit, working together.
Trespasser and Pantheo getting sorted out into a 2-car draft early on has pulled them ahead, but number Gustas and Upsus in a 3-car draft are slowly reeling them in. 2-car, 3-car are the standard you'll see. It takes a phenomenal amount of patience and usually being in the same voice channel to pull off a 4-car draft. And the way the draft works, Travis, as you've experienced before, is, who is last shall go first, going into a corner. 3-car draft is usually the middle car overtakes the lead car first. The 3rd car then starts overtaking that 2nd car to the inside. When you have it working very efficiently, it's almost like a ballet at 180 miles an hour.
It really is, and it's much easier in a 2-car draft. You can see that pretty clearly at the front, how Trespasser and Teo are, I think they might be pulling a little bit of a gap. They can trade positions, and they have a little bit more room to kind of work, to yield position. What they'll do is they'll try to make a pass with plenty of space before the next corner, so that they can establish a gap into and through the middle of the corner. You'll see Teo stay a little bit wide here so that he can leave a little bit of space so that he has that much room in order to gather up momentum and enough overspeed to make a clean pass before the next corner and leave space for Trespasser behind him to do the same thing. It is much harder, as you said, with 3 cars to do that leapfrogging with an extra car in the middle.
Number setting the fastest lap of the race so far with a 45.06. The gap had increased between the first 2 and these 3 that we're looking at with Number and Obsess, but they had a lap or 2 of disorganized 3-car drafting, which slowed them down and essentially tripled the gap. We have a mess of 4 cars towards the back. That is Vinsu, Tejo's, Kara Kristen, Born to Race Spiky is that, and then Sigitas off the back of that. Yeah, Sigitas 4th car. And in a 4-car draft, usually the 4th car will wait at the back. and lift off, because usually there's not enough time or momentum for them to overtake going into a corner. So if
Yeah,
there's
this
no
four car.
momentum to overtake, you usually sit back and wait instead of
Sorry,
going side by side through a corner.
yeah, sorry about that, Deco. Yeah, this four car group now, for those reasons, this four car group has now become a 7 car group. This might get messy with them again trying to jockey for position, kind of like they do at the start. Establish some momentum, find a drafting partner or two, and try to get away from the gaggle of cars surrounding.
All the while, the cars up ahead that are organized pull away and away and away. Group of 3 coming up to these 4 is Ayub Simditas, and actually Sigitas Sakis has joined the back group. And it looks like Unite just up ahead. Join the group ahead. There's Christian following Spiky into turn number 3. Looks like Upsas, Gustus, and Number are trying to get some organization back.
Yeah, I was about to
Yeah.
say, I was looking toward the front again, and Trespasser, Teo Panteo, pardon me, are working together awfully well. It looked like Number, Upsas, and Gustus were working together reasonably well, and then it became clear as we looked toward the front again that they'd kind of gotten it out of sorts. Now you can see that they've lost quite a bit of time on the leaders. Number does a lot of oval racing. I think he'll be a bit frustrated that the other two don't have the draft quite worked out as well as he does, and the leaders are going to get away. Fortunately, it's a long race for these guys. We'll have a pit stop cycle. There will almost certainly be an accident. There any number of things could unfold that will put him back in the race at the front.
It's a decent 9/10 of a second gap from the first group to the second group, down to about 8/10 now. But back towards the back from P6 to about P12, they're still fairly close together. A group of 4, then a group of 3. And it looks like the group of 4 is slowly starting to break into 2 groups of 2. Vinsu and Christian now have split off a bit. Spiky and Unite behind. But those 2, having connected up, are catching up to the other 2. A poorly timed 2-car draft is slower than even 2 cars following side by side usually.
Yeah, this may work pretty well for Vinsu and Christian. They've got just a little bit of space to the 2 cars behind them. If they time their trades really well coming down the front stretch, they might be able to gap them down. Now Vinsu was a little bit wide in the corner there, didn't tuck in quite quickly enough, and now they are all together again as a 4-car train. Vinsu will go by, but Unite will follow him through. Now it's a 4-car draft. This will be really tricky for them to sort out to try to catch the leaders.
And if they keep this arguing up again, the 3 will catch them. Spiky Unite side by side in turn 2, but if that holds, if they can hold their 2-car draft and Vinsu and Christian can't keep up, one or both of them can be left in the dust.
Just taking a quick look around, Firestarter's doing okay running by himself. Obviously, he won't be anywhere near the pace of the leaders, but the car doesn't appear to be damaged. We thought that it wasn't earlier, and it looks like it's not. He's not falling too far off I mean, he won't be able to catch them by himself, but he's not falling too far off the back of the cars ahead of him. And behind them, Pullins says, I don't know if Mr. Fetch has gone back into Pullins or if it's gone the other way around. Pullins was in the wall and had some damage. Mr. Fetch, the front of the car is bent, so he's going to be well off the pace. That's the update of the back markers. Still no sign of the leaders coming up on them, so they won't have to worry about blue flags for a while yet.
Trespasser and Pentio coming out of turn 3 to complete the 13th of 150 tours of this Kyoto Ring Oval. They've increased their gap to almost 2 seconds now over the group of 3 behind in third, fourth, and fifth. And then there's
And
about
they've had
2 seconds back to the group with Christian and Spiky and Unite and Vinsu.
in the earliest laps, these two had Trespasser and Penteo had a couple miscues. Just the timing was a little bit off, but now they are absolutely flying. They're trading the lead, pulling out and making the pass just as they're entering the corner to carry the overspeed momentum through, and then the other driver tucks in right behind as soon as they come out of the corner. They're working the draft absolutely perfectly and driving away from the cars behind.
It's good for at least 4 or 5 kilometers an hour, a good slipstream.
Yeah, behind them we can see Upsus making a pass in the middle of the corner. Gustus not really well. Upsus didn't take the racing line out to the wall, and Gustus didn't try to tuck in behind him, so they lose a bit of momentum there. Number's going to try to go around the outside to try to make something happen here. He's going to be getting progressively more sick as this race goes on if they can't work together to find the leaders. In fact, I might even say, Deck, I'm curious what you think here. It might be, because there's a lot of laps left in this race, 135 to go. We're only 10% done. It might work better for Number to it might work better for Number to come back and let someone else behind him catch him to work the draft together with somebody who's a bit more experienced working the slipstream.
It is quite hard. It is quite hard to break a draft and drop someone from your group, but Number just taking his time to sit back and see if he can't either let somebody catch up to him and get a partner, because Unite and Christian have gotten into a good draft with Spiky. They've dropped Vinsu, so Christian, Spiky, and Nico are in a good 3-car draft, and I wonder if Number has realized this and seen the gap coming down.
He can, Number can still, he can work this to his advantage. He's frustrated that they're not working together very well. They're not in sync to try to use the slipstream to get to the front. So what he could do is just tuck in behind and save fuel. What will happen when they need to make pit stops is because that adds a lot of uncertainty to the amount of time they take to get around the circuit. Number can use this to save fuel. He's done enough oval races that he knows how to get into pit lane really, really quickly. He can stretch a long time, try to find someone to draft with in those final laps before he makes his own stop, get in and out of the pits really quick, and that might find him the time to be at the front with the leaders when that cycle of pit stops is finished.
The third group with Spiky and Christian and Unite are a well-formed 3-car draft right now, and they are catching the second group with Upsus, Gustus, and Number hand over fist. The gap is now down to about less than a second now, almost 3/4 of a second, and they're catching by at least 2/10 every turn. So this is soon going to be a 6-car group, and I wouldn't be surprised if Number tries to hightail it out of the group with Gustus and Upsus as soon as possible with the group of 3 behind. So we're going to have some action here for the bottom step of the podium here in just a lap or 2.
Yeah, I'm properly invested in this now. We'll see if I'm a prophet or if I'm an ignoramus. Number still sitting behind the second group here.
And that second group was suddenly up to the 3rd and 4th lane through turn 1. Not sure what happened there.
Yeah, they've just got miscues all over the place. Looks like Number might try to go here. Yeah, Upsus lost enough momentum. The Number just decided to go. Try to preserve as much of the momentum as he can. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if Number decides to try to work this and avoid a 6-car group, or if he'll just pick somebody from the group behind him to try to work together with.
Yep, Spiky now Unite across the line, and they are now with it. So this is now a 6-car group. Gustus right in front of Nico. Nico having to go to the outside of Gustus to not lose tremendous momentum. Spiky now behind Gustus to the inside.
This may be perfect for Number because these guys behind them all had it all out of sorts going into the first turn. They were 2 wide, then 3 wide, and then couldn't decide who was going to pass. And now Number and Upsus are working together. They've got a bit of a gap on the cars behind them as they go 3 wide into turn 3. This might be...
Gustus and Christian having contact at turn 1. That sends Gustus up the road. And now Nico in the slipstream of Spiky. Christian gonna squeeze it a little too much, so Nico has to lift off, but gets across going to turn 3, and they may have dropped Gustus after that contact.
Yeah, it'll be awfully close. Unite's going to tuck in there. He may just have a sniff of the draft, but he's got a gap to the cars behind him, and they lost momentum going into turn 1. Meanwhile, Number and Upsa still working together pretty well. They might just be able to gap these guys and work a 2-car draft.
Number and Upsa holding at a 1/10 of a second away from this next group. But indeed, Gustus has been dropped, so now it's a 5-car group to try and split off. Nico backing off that run on Christian there. Nope, Gustus has just retired from the race. Christian and Nico side by side, Number and Upsa side by side. Nico with a great draft following Number through. Looks like Number and Nico are going to try and hook up. And Upsas and Christian will be left to hook up, and Spiky along with them.
Number's going to be even more frustrated now because they had a sniff of a 2-car draft where they could have worked together and then just didn't quite find the rhythm to get a big enough gap and defend their own draft. And now it's a 5-car group instead of a dysfunctional 3-car group.
Christian's gone! Christian's gone, and he's taking Spiky with him. Christian got on the apron at turn 3 and got up into Spiky, and Spiky tried to hold on, but he has lost big amounts of time.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate, and it just demonstrates how thin the margins are here. A little bit on the apron, and the car can be completely out of sorts. What that has done is that has let Number and Unite just break away. Now a huge gap behind them. They can work a 2-car draft to their advantage. It'll be difficult for them to find the leaders because Trespasser and Panteo are so good at the draft in the front, but Number and Unite now at least have a sniff of the lead, whereas before they were just going backwards.
Upsas did back off to collect his teammate Spiky, so Upsas and Spiky are going to work together to try and not lose any more time. Unite and Number now working together. They're 3 1/3 seconds behind our lead pair of Pantheo and Trespasser, who have been having kind of a mundane Saturday drive.
And Spiky and Upsis here being in the same team, Born to Race, they'll have a little bit of at least a communication advantage here, where they can talk to one another, try to negotiate when they pass. If they have a little bit of a miscue, they'll at least be able to tell each other that rather than finding it out as they're trying to pass one another and losing momentum. So that was a fair bit of excitement. While that was happening, there's a 3-car draft behind them. Born to Race teammate Ayub running with him, Jintas and Vinsu. They look to be working a fairly effective 3-car draft. Not quite as disjointed and miscued as the 3-car drafts we saw earlier. Further behind them, we got Sige, Alpacin, and Finuke working together. Sig way up the racing surface in the middle of turn 1. He's going to lose a lot of momentum there. Entirely possible he could lose the draft to the cars ahead of him. He just gets a sniff of Al there and is able to find Finuke, so this 3-car draft will stay together. Christian's still running. He's got a draft partner, so he's not out of this yet. Pretty far back, certainly much further back from where he was, but not out of it. He's not running alone, so he'll be able to keep the momentum up. And Firestarter and Pullins have found one another, and Mr. Fetch at the back. So a 3-car draft. Everyone on the track now running together with a draft partner or draft partners. Nobody running alone. And meanwhile, at the front, Trespasser and Penteo continue to work this slipstream very effectively, running awfully quick. A visible gap, a few seconds to the 3rd place position behind them. A lot happening in the first. We're not even a quarter of the way done. A lot happening in the first quarter of this race.
26 laps complete. now, and the gap is still 3 1/3 seconds now, but it's stabilized from first and second to third and fourth.
Yeah, I'm watching Number and Unite now, and they're working together really, really well. They have found the rhythm. They've got the same rhythm as the leaders ahead of them. Passing just as they go into the corner, leaving a little bit of space. Unite will stay wide here and tuck in on Number as they're coming out of the corner, and they'll be able to use that momentum to leapfrog one another. Whether they can do it as quickly as Trespasser and Pateo can remains to be seen, but now going much better for Number now, Number and Unite than it was earlier.
So we've got 27 laps, or coming to complete 27 laps. It is a racing weekend for sim broadcasts and Live for Speed in general. We have 3 events this weekend. This is one of them. Here in a couple hours at 18 UTC. Race Ungreen events. This is Crashmas, an annual affair that draws quite a crowd at the Fern Bay little mini oval that Ronnie's created in the final sector of the Golden Club area. Pete Butcher and friends will be commentating that from 18 UTC right here on Sim Broadcasts. That Crashmas is a wonderful, I suppose we'd call it a banger style race, where the object is to have a little bit of carnage. And also tomorrow, the Master Race Cars BF1 League returns. So we'll remind you of that a little later, but that's tomorrow from Fern Bay Black. Travis, you'll be commentating that along with Adam.
I will be here at the same time tomorrow morning as we started today.
Yep, so back to the action we go. Trespasser and Pantheo still working their way as we're working the 30th circuit. It looks like Trespasser and Pantheo are coming into the pit lane now to get their stop out of the way. Oh, Trespasser got on the grass just a little bit and shot him out to the outside of the apron. Rule for this series is you must use 2 compounds of tires on at least 1 axle. Trespasser and Pantheo both starting on R2, R3, and we'll see what they switch to this time. Pantheo has hit the stop, and he's now gone R3, R3, and Trespasser doing the same thing. So they have gotten their compulsory tire compound change out of the way and will be running R3s all round.
And behind them, Christian also came in.
Tejo Christian also making a pit stop this time around.
It was a really scary moment for Trespasser coming in. He touched the grass, as you said, and then chased the car all the way out to the wall with a little bit of opposite lock in it. Now coming out of the pits with his draft partner. They'll be back in the fight. We'll have to look back and see if anyone else chooses to pit and how that shakes out the order, how close they'll be running to, how close the cars chasing these two will come out behind them. Nobody else coming in the pits yet. Unite and Number going around through turn 3, so they won't be in this time. Behind them, the Born to Race cars. Sorry, the Born to Race cars, Upsis and Spiky, working together really well. I've not had a look at the gaps to see if they're closing, but they're in a really good rhythm. If they're not closing, they've kept the gap pretty steady. These two are running really well together now that the teammates have found each other.
Citrus falling back from the group he was with Finn UK and Al Payson. wonder if he's going to try and interval back to the number 84 car of Raymac Motorsport. We still have the 3-car group of Vinsu, Simjitas, and Ayub. But it looks like Simjitas and Vinsu are about to drop Ayub from that. Here on the 34th tour. I wonder if the cars of Fragmaster and Christian will be able to go the rest of the distance on that. They were doing the early pit so they could have just consistent lap times afterwards.
Yeah, hard to say. Trespasser and Penteo, obviously one committed to the pits, and then the other also had to go. So they're married to each other for the rest of the race now, and back in a good rhythm. It will be hard to say whether this will work well for Christian. He got knocked at the back earlier and chose to pit early. He'll have to find a draft partner to make it work, but not out of the realm of possibility. A long way to go. As we mentioned, Christian, he ended up 3 wide going into turn 1 with his draft partners. Looked like there might have been a little bit of contact. Kind of a scary moment going through there side by side and then finding someone in your side pod, especially after he's already had a moment that put him toward the back of the pack.
So after those pit stops, Christian a lap down, Number and Unite. There's been a discussion on the server with them and a few others about how many passes to make between turn 3 and turn 1. There are times when, especially in the FO8, we have even more speed and draft, that you can sneak out a second pass, but apparently Number's request is to only do 1 pass from between 3 and 1.
I'll have to own a mistake that I made a minute ago. I failed to realize that Christian had gotten passed and is now a lap off the lead. So, it is a big mountain to climb for him to find a position anywhere near the front now. But a lot can happen. Barring a miracle, it looks like it may be over for him, but he'll keep going around and hope for the best.
Unite and Number last lap at 45.31.
That's a bit of a miscue there because Number got into the back of Unite. Looked like Unite wanted to dive for pit lane, but it would have been a bit late. Number, kind of the unintentional bump draft there with that miscue. Doesn't look like either of them have damage, though. That wasn't a light tap. That was a pretty good hit. And we've got a battle behind them. Not really a battle. The Born to Race cars are working together. This will show in the two of them being able to catch or not.
That mistake between Unite and Number cost them about 2 or 3 tenths of a second that lap time, giving Spike and Oops that's just a little close. Another couple of those, and that'll really encourage Oopsas and Spiky.
And because the speed difference is so marginal working in the draft, it takes a lap or 2 to be able to find all that speed again. So they might be a little bit down again on this lap. Yeah, the best lap, Number's best lap is a 45.06. That last lap, a 45.33. So they're still about 2.5 tenths off.
It's a lot of rhythm. And when you have something that interrupts your rhythm, whether it's a car you're lapping or somebody following through you have to get back into that flow and get your timing back.
You do indeed. Yeah, you're right. That will have disrupted the rhythm. Now they have to mentally reset, think about where they are on the track and where they want to make the pass, kind of start again, while at the same time just not having the speed that they were running a few laps before. They should be pretty close to matching the speed they were doing a few laps ago now. Another 45.3 out of Number. Unite behind him with a nearly identical 45.3. Looks like they found the speed again. Doesn't seem to have impacted them too much. The Born to Race cars might be just a hair closer, but seems like these two will be okay.
And gain them about a third of a second overall. Actually, Spiky and Obsessed last lap were about 5/100ths of a second faster than Number and Unite. A lot of it is the ebb and flow that you have of, there may be some laps where drivers will do really stretch the drafting, try and get that extra click or two going into a corner, and others there might be some fuel saving going on in the race. Trespasser and Penteo coming out of turn 3 to complete their 40th lap, running a 45.48 last time, which was 0.2 slower. This time they are about on the leader's pace. They have one car ahead that they're going to be in strife with. That'll be F starter for number 89 air attack car.
Yeah, this is about to get pretty challenging for these two. This is the risk of taking the early pit stop, is now they will have to work back markers. And whereas on a road course, these guys, Trespasser in particular, are awfully quick and can kind of strategically negotiate back markers and get away and then drive away on the merit of their own talent. They'll have to work the draft around F starter and then try to drop him. If they have to run with him and they don't find a good 3-car rhythm, this is going to cost them a lot of time. So they need to get past him. They need to however they can, mind meld with one another to find a way to drop him quickly once they get by, and then do the same for all of the back markers ahead.
F-Starter is closing up on Tejo Christian. So I wonder if Christian and Penteo and Trespasser are in discussion and may try to utilize Christian as a bit of a pick to get the air attack car overtaken.
I think that would be their best bet. I was looking back at Christian just a couple minutes ago to see how he was doing, and he had fallen off the draft of the cars ahead of him. I wonder if he's got a bit of damage or if he had just gotten caught out in the 3-car draft and lost to the cars ahead of him. But I think you're right. Their best bet will be for Penteo and Trespasser to negotiate with him to hold up F-Starter and then try to sail past and forge ahead. This will work really well for Trespasser if he can time it. They should be able to get around F-Starter coming around the front stretch here. He might be just a little bit close coming into turn 3. Yeah, he'll back. Oh, no, he makes the dive. They'll both go around and follow him through. It'll be really tempting for Potato to bump draft here and try to get away from F-Starter, but that is, of course, against the rules. And now they've got Christian. We'll see if, Jonathan, we'll see if you're a prophet here and if Christian can work with them to hold off the back marker so they can run ahead.
F-Starter sticking with them for now. But of course, F-Starter can gain if he just sits behind the 3 ahead.
Oh, Trespasser's going to be sick about that. He started to make a move to try to keep Christian behind him, and Christian just decided to go. Now he's got to try to get Penteo behind him again so these guys can work together. Christian's going to hang out on the outside. Trespasser's going to let Penteo go. I have to believe that he'll try to block Christian here and keep him from going ahead, and then try to get the draft for Penteo while keeping these guys behind him. Looks like he's going to cut off Christian there, but Christian's just going to follow him through. This might be the race right here where these guys start losing some time and Unite and Number can work together and find the ultimate lead of the race after they cycle pit stops.
But at the same time, if they can get this 4-car draft working, that is even faster than the 2-car draft. Yeah, so yeah, all F-Starter has to do is sit behind these 3, let them get into a flow, and just by doing that, even if F-Starter is off the throttle for half of each straight, he's still driving as if he's full throttle alone. So he can stick with these three, but ooh, he just had a moment of lag there. But yeah, if these four can get it working together, they will start catching. In fact, this last lap, F Starter had the fastest lap on the road with a 44.99.
Yep, you're absolutely right. And we've got production in our ears helping us the entire time around. And I was reminded that if these guys can make it work, it will be a lot quicker than a 2-car draft. And I was wrong. Yeah, I was wrong. This isn't going to slow these guys down. It looks like they've found a rhythm. They're working together really well, and they are going a lot quicker than the cars ahead.
Who said that oval racing is basic and no strategy at all? That's actually what this race is 100% strategy.
Yeah, it's all strategy, all timing. It looks easy because it's a lot of turning left, but it's a very delicate balance of timing, and the margins are so thin driving the car around.
They're going to be slower this lap. Christian got a little off coming out of turn 2, so Trespasser, instead of overtaking Panteo, held up. So they held up to bring Christian back into it. If you're literally watching only F Starter, you're going to think, what in the world is he doing? He's off the throttle half of the straight. He's not doing anything. He's still faster than a lot of other cars on the track. His last lap was a 45.24. Mr. Fetch was the only one with that lap time. A lot of others are north of that in speed, so it is helping him be slower, or faster, excuse me.
Yeah, and though I don't think he's in contention for the lead of the race, though as we said earlier, anything can happen, this gives him a lot of flexibility for his race strategy. He can run at the back at half throttle and save just insane amounts of fuel. He is using no fuel to go around with the fastest cars on the racetrack. This opens up a lot of possibilities for him later in the race, should something happen to put him back in contention.
The 2 cars up ahead of these 4 cars we've been watching are Mr. Fetch and Edgar's Pulens. They were 5 and a tenth ahead this time. Now that gap is under 5 seconds to 4.9 through the first sector of the course. We'll see what the time is at the start-finish line is.
Yeah, looking ahead to the leaders, just to compare, watching Unite and Number for a moment, they are doing pretty consistent 45.3s. So this train behind them, Trespasser, Pateo, F Starter, Christian, they're consistently running 3/10 quicker, maybe even 4/10 quicker. I thought I saw a lap in the 44s.
This last lap was in the 44s. Trespasser 44.94. Number in Unite 45.40 this lap.
Yeah, so they are running much quicker than Unite and Number. This should easily, when barring any of the other things that could happen during a race like this should put Trespasser and Panteo easily ahead of Unite and Number.
So Christian or Panteo having to back out, but at the same point, if they can get right back into the swing of things, that's just a changing of the order. That is sometimes done if somebody's tired of being the middle car and they want to be on the end. Then that's the advantage of being in a voice chat together, is you can actually work out and plan the switches.
It looks like they got a bit of a scrap going now. It seems like they either. I would like to believe that you're right. I do. That sounded a bit flippant. I think you are right, or I hope you are right, Jonathan, that they're doing a bit of a reordering here. What they can do if they're talking to one another and working together is they can cycle one of the leaders back to try to save fuel. They can do this on alternating a few laps. Looks like they might be starting to find the rhythm again, so it's possible that they're doing that, though Panteo is now in front. They're going to put Christian out to the lead now. Maybe Trespasser or Panteo will just follow around for a while and try to save some fuel and give them some strategy flexibility.
Of course, of this group, the guy saving the most fuel is F Starter, and he is obviously content to just sit behind these three while they're working.
I would like to be I was going to say fly on the wall, but maybe a fly in the ear inside the helmet of Number and Unite. What they probably have heard from teammates in voice chat is that the team, the train of Trespasser, Peteo, F Starter, Christian are running awfully quick. I expect Number will be a bit frustrated that he finally found a good drafting partner and they're in a really, really good rhythm, going pretty quickly, but not as quickly as this 4-car train of Trespasser, Peteo, F Starter, and Christian. It seemed like Number and Unite may have had it figured out, and now it's gone wrong for them again because the 4-car train behind them, but ultimately running for the lead of the race, is working together really well.
Spiky into the pits for a fuel stop. Oopsa's coming in, changing his tires. Oopsa's now R3 all around.
Yeah, Spiky got out a fair bit quicker, so he'll have to slow down and wait for Upsus. That's going to hurt their prospects of driving toward the lead of the race. It looks to be a few seconds, at least 2 seconds.
Gap under 4 seconds now between these 4 cars together and Mr. Fetch and Pulins.
Yeah, just one more quick remark. Spiky's running around at the top of the racetrack, trying to scrub off a little bit of speed without slowing down too much so that he can that his teammate can catch up to him. They're going to lose a lot of time being out of rhythm here.
Spiky will likely have to make another stop to change tire compound.
Meanwhile, that 4-car train that we've been following, mighty quick right now. I'm looking at F Starter, who's been running at the back of this pack the entire time, just saving fuel. He got pulled around for a 44.89 on the last lap, just running at the back of this train. So these guys had it, they were a bit out of sorts for a lap or two. Now they have found it again, just steaming around the racetrack.
If you want to learn how to 4-car draft the oval, watch these 4. They are doing a phenomenal job of it.
And we should mention this is F Starter had kind of a frustrating start to the race. He was near the back at the very beginning, a little bit off of the leader's pace in qualifying. Pardon me, a little bit off the leader's pace. But now he's running around at the back of this pack. He's not interfering. He's taking advantage of the momentum that the cars ahead are carrying. By now, the cars ahead will have found some trust in him to stay behind and just run their pace. And if something goes wrong, if there's a little bit of contact, if they have a bit of a miscue trading the draft, he's right there to go ahead of them, help keep the momentum up. Really, really well done to him to follow these guys around and keep the pace high.
We're on board with F Starter. Let's just watch, listen, and learn for a lap or two. And just listen to the tone of his engine and how much he is off throttle with these 4. Oh, gotta crash ahead, and that's it, that's gone. That's Pulins. Yeah, it was Pulins and Mr. Fetch, and Pulins is upside down on the inside, so he's going to have to wait for he's gonna have to request a reset, which he's done. If that definitely did take F Starter out of the equation. Yep, so Christian, Panteo, and Trespasser can keep their 3-car draft. That would have been a heart in your throat moment. F-Starter has a totally ruined left front damper. He's going to have to pit. He is going to absolutely have to pit and take repairs on that one.
That's really unfortunate for him. We were just talking about how well he's doing running with that group, and then it all went awry just that quickly. That's a shame for him because he was doing really really well. Even though he was far back, he was running a good race. Um, Condolences to him. That's a hard way to go out.
Yeah, and the left edge of the front wing is also seeming to scrape the ground for F-Starter. Number and Unite get around him. And so that left front tire for F-Starter is not even in contact with the ground for most of the lap. That's his race done.
So looking at the group he was running with, looked like a bit of a miscue coming around turn 2 there. Panteo got a little bit of the wall. Looked like Trespasser squeezed him a little bit. I doubt it was intentional. I think just a bit of a miscommunication or a tiny mistake. Trespasser was up pretty high. Panteo touched the wall. Doesn't appear to have affected them. Trespasser goes by Christian now. They'll keep working this 3-car draft, and that's a quick lap, 45.05. So it seems like these guys are okay.
Mr. Fetch, having made a pit stop, 35.5 seconds for fuel, major damage, repair, and tire change. So Unite and Nico, 45.2 for their last lap. We'll see what Trespasser, Panteo, and Christian can run this lap.
Yeah,
45.2 for the group of Trespasser, Panteo, and
Apologies, Deco.
Christian. So they are still catching our race leaders as this 3-car draft.
And meanwhile, F-Starter he is not pitted yet for repairs. He's still going around, but he's well off the pace. He just got a call out from one of the server admins about his pace. So I imagine, I don't know that they will compel him to go to the pits, but they're making a strong suggestion that he should. In any case, his race is over. He can continue running around to get some experience and do laps, but he's going to be so far off the pace and out of the regular rhythm that I'm not sure how much it'll help him.
Yeah, that left front tire is very cold.
Yeah, these guys now running line astern, trying to get past Sidge. Looks like Panteo's still alongside. Sidge will tuck in behind. Looked like Sidge was running off the pace. Not sure if that's because he didn't have a draft partner or if he's got something wrong with the car. Looks like he's tucked in with these guys. They're not going to drop him, so they've got him to the 4-car draft here.
They don't need to drop him. They just need to know that he's just going to sit back there and not mess with their 3-car draft.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say maybe they have a new F-Starter running at the back of their train here, a guy who can just get pulled around at high speed. So far, looks like he's giving them the respect and just staying behind. So these guys can continue working their 3-car magic, running a high pace.
We've got Pulins just up ahead of these 4. After Pulins having had to take a spectate and rejoin from that crash with Mr. Fetch. So they'll be looking to try and get around him easily, and I wonder if Pulins will try and pair up with Sigitas at the end of this.
Looking to the front for a moment, nothing has changed. Number and Unite still running
I'm shocked.
A nearly perfect 2-car rhythm. The laps are very consistent, but it don't know if it'll hold up to the 3-car train. I think they'll need another moment like they had earlier with F-Starter for Number and Unite to be able to stay in the lead. But that could happen. That 3-car train could be disrupted for any number of reasons. These guys will keep forging ahead and hope for the best. But right now, it looks like this will ultimately be the race for 3rd position.
Sigitas looked like he was about to go to the inside of Trespasser through turn 3, but what that did was caused him back out, and now he is broken off the back with Pulins. Yep, and F-Starter's still on the road with that completely gone left front tire, as he's just been overtaken. But our 3-car draft that has been working continues to work and has not been disturbed too terrible much by this as yet. So this group of 3, their next task, which they have, I'm sure, chosen to accept, is to catch the FFM pair of A. Payson and Finn UK, currently up in 6th and 7th, as they draft up ahead, the 2 of them. That gap is just over 7 seconds. But if these 3 can keep running at their consistent pace, they will be there within maybe half a dozen laps or so.
I'm a little surprised F-Starter hasn't come in for a pit stop to make repairs, because at this point he's losing more time out on track in the, I haven't kept count, but 6 or 7 laps, maybe close to 10 laps since they had that incident. He's lost more time running around off the pace than he would have pitting for repairs. So I assume he's just sticking to his strategy, deciding to take repairs when he comes in for his fuel and tire stop. But this is affecting him badly. He's 5 seconds off the leader's pace. It's going from bad to worse for him. He'll before too long he'll be lapped by Mr. Fetch and Bullens, who've been running around at the back.
So with F-Starter being on R3s all around, he may be trying to stretch as long as he can, so he can be on the desired pit strategy closer to the end of the race.
Looking to the 3-car train that we've been following the whole race, they are now going through Mr. Fetch. Mr. Fetch staying high. All 3 cars coming through now. Another case where they may have a 4th just hanging on to the back of the pack. Oh, a bit of a miscue there. Christian washes up the track and just barely misses the right front of Trespasser. Now they're back in line again. They'll have to take a moment to find their rhythm. Looks like they've got it again. And Mr. Fetch looks to be falling off the back of this pack. He's a bit of a gap to Panteo ahead of him. Not quite dropped off this pack yet, but it doesn't look like... Oh, I was about to say that it looks like he might get dropped, but Panteo cut him off coming into the second turn. Now Mr. Fetch around the outside. Trespasser's got to look for him up high, just tucks in front of him. These guys are going to be a little bit frustrated. They've had 2 guys running at the back of their train, working really, really well, just getting pulled around at high speed. Now Mr. Fetch wants to race with these guys. They're going to be awfully frustrated with Mr. Fetch.
Slow down and not overtake, so. Now he's definitely lost that group.
Yeah, he for all due respect to him, he quickly heeded that call in chat to back off and not race these guys, and now he's falling back to the 2 cars behind him, Sig and Pullens.
The gap from this 3 to the next 2 up ahead, Finn UK and Payson, is down to under 6 seconds now. Down to about 5 3/4. So in about 4 laps, it's come down about 2 seconds. So also considering that Christian, having had a wreck earlier in the race, a lap down, trying to utilize his pairing up with Trespasser and Panteo to get back into the race. So he's essentially in battle with Spiky and Upsas, who have just completed their 71st lap. They're coming out of turn 1 right now. Christian is going into turn 3, so it's entirely possible that if Christian can keep with Trespasser and Pantheo, he will eventually unlap himself in relation to Upsas and Spiky.
Yeah,
We're
Upsus and
getting close to
Spiky
halfway.
running. Yeah, Upsus and Spiky running similar pace to the other leaders, around 45 threes. They had a bit of a miscue around the last lap. They had a pass in the middle of turn 1, which is about the slowest place you can do that. You want to make the pass going in and not in the middle of the corner. Couldn't tell if one of them had tapped the wall going in or maybe caught a bit of the apron and lost a bit of the lost control of the car. Looks like they're finding the rhythm again. That lap quite a bit slower. This is looking good for Christian because he's running really, really quickly with the two car lead train, or what will ultimately be the lead train, Trespasser and Panteo. I think he will be able to catch these guys.
Just a couple laps now from halfway. Unite and Number continuing up in the lead as they come to start the halfway lap. They've got a 7-second lead over the pair in third and fourth of Simjitas and Ayub. Vinsu coming into the pit lane to make his compulsory tire change, hopefully. He's on R3. That'll be Vinsu's first stop. I would reckon he would go to R2, R3 as he slams on the binders. It is quite easy to get a speeding penalty on the pit entry here because you're trying to push up to the speed limit line. Oh no, that's not good for the race leaders at the moment. Unite coming into the pit lane this time, but Number continuing on his own, so Number is going to start losing gobs of time.
Yeah,
that might even be third place done.
Yeah, we were looking elsewhere for other cars coming in the pits.
Oh, Simjitas is spun coming into the pit lane with Simjitas and Ayub coming into the pit lane together, and Simjitas has spun and earned himself a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, it looked like he just avoided collecting Ayub. A lot happening all at once. We were talking about the challenge
Ayub's
with cars
run
pitting.
out of fuel, so that's a forced pit stop there. Payson and Finn UK are now also in the pit, so it's all action here at the halfway. Everyone pitting. So Trespasser up into P2 with Pantheo and Christian, and Number still on the track, completing his 76th lap with a 25.25 second lead over Trespasser, but he still has to make a pit stop.
Yeah, lots happening there all at once. Number, as you said, running by himself, half second off the pace now. He's going to be even more frustrated than he was for the first half of this race.
Sid and F-Starter finally into the pit lane.
Yeah, Trespasser and Panteo still flying with Christian. Just did a 45 dead, so 7/10 quicker than Number.
So Number coming into the pit lane now on the 77th tour. Trespasser and Panteo will be in the lead very shortly as they're coming in out of turn 2 now.
Yeah,
Well, I'd be interested to see where Unite comes out in relation to Number.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. Unite's coming through turn 2 now. He has not found a draft partner, so he'll be running about the same pace as Number was doing alone. So they should come out close to each other. Unlikely that they will come out, right alongside one another. I imagine one of them will have to back off to let the other catch up. A miscue from them. They needed to come in together to have a prayer at finding the lead of the race. And we didn't see what happened. We were talking about other cars pitting at the same time. And now...
So we have a couple driver swaps here, by the way, Travis. Fraz has taken over from Number, and also Heraloco has taken over from Simjitas.
Yeah, it's gotten from bad to worse to further worse. Fraz is a mile behind Unite. They Yeah, they got it all wrong with the pit stop and the driver swap. These two were working well together. Basically, all they had, the only chance they had to take the lead of the race, and they've had a bit of a miscue. Didn't work together on the pit stop, but now Panteo and Trespasser are just going to run away from everyone else.
So that'll effectively put Upsas and Spiky possibly into third position if they can catch Unite. Unite has nobody to draft with at the moment.
Yeah, speaking of Upsas and Spiky, F-Starter took a pit stop and got some repairs. Now he's running with these guys. He was well off the pace earlier. He's pretty far behind. He'll have blue flags if he does get ahead of these guys, but looks like he'll do much of the same that he was doing earlier, just fall in line and get pulled around. I think Upsas and Spiky would probably like it if he went around them and got the 3-car draft working to try to find a bit more pace, but looks like F-Starter is just content to ride behind these guys.
Simjitas saying in the chat in the server that his speeding penalty was caused by his brake pedal not functioning.
I don't know that they'll accept that as an excuse. Besides the fact that it's difficult for any one of the admins to verify that, that's tantamount to a mechanical failure. That is on him and not a valid excuse for having a drive-through cleared.
Speaking as a steward for this moment, my answer would be, I'm very sorry. Enjoy the penalty.
Or don't enjoy it. You're serving it regardless.
Yeah. So Panteo, Christian, and Trespasser coming out of turn number 3 to complete their 81st tour of the circuit. We have number 78, Arcgis, up ahead that these three will try to get around. He will head to the outside. So a reminder for everybody that as the race leaders sneak around the lapped car, have a couple more races this weekend here on simbroadcast.tv coming up in a few hours. Crashmas, but first we want to give a shout to the Master Race Car BF1 League. Tomorrow, around this time, Travis and Adam will be well into the race, live from 14 UTC, from Fern Bay Black. Travis, I think the BF1 and Fern Bay Black aren't the best of friends.
No, there aren't many cars that are best of friends around Fern Bay Black. The chicanes around Gold and Green are really challenging. Put them both together to make Black, and I think it's an eventful race in any car trying to negotiate a challenging circuit. Add into the mix an incredibly quick and nimble car in the BF1, and I think we'll have a fair bit of excitement.
So that's again tomorrow live from 14 UTC right here on simbroadcast.tv. Fern Bay Black BF1 League with Travis and Adam Brown leading that. Come up here in a couple hours' time from 18 UTC. Race on Green events. This is Crashmas, that lovely little banger race that Ronnie's done for many years now. Mr. Pete Butcher and friends will be bringing you that action. And in Crashmas, the intent is not to intentionally wreck, but some hockey-style hip checks and whatnot is definitely encouraged.
As you were saying that,
Lots
Pete
of full
shouted in our
sense.
ears that it definitely is the point. I guess take that how you will. You can listen to Jonathan and do some light wrecking, or you can adopt the Pete strategy and go ham.
Oh yeah, ridiculous full sends are fully welcome. I'm just referring to, your point is to not drive backwards and wreck everybody and still find a way to win.
Well, that's fair enough. I think that would be, I think we could call that cheating, going backward to kill the entire field. That's too much.
But if you happen to bash someone up against the boards hockey style, you're not going to get told off.
Of course, that's not a crash. That's a tackle or a check.
Just don't high stick. So a racing weekend here this post-Christmas weekend. Happy holidays for whatever holiday any of you celebrate. Boxing Day for quite a lot of the world today.
Looking around the order again, Panteo, Trespasser, Christian continue to work together really well. I think Unite and Fraz are they're going to be nauseated by how this race has turned out for them. Unite has, I guess, he has decided to just run around by himself. He's slowly catching a couple back markers ahead of him, but well off the pace of the leaders. Um, Fraz has done much the same, running by himself. It's interesting how we've got a number of cars strung out now. There are several cars running alone on the circuit. Part of that would have come as part of the pit stop cycle, with cars getting a little bit out of sync, coming in and out of the pits. Um, but yeah, it's I think it's basically over for Fraz and Unite now. Not they running together before, not running together now. It As far as I can tell, they've just given up on finding draft partners. Though in Unite's case, he would have to drop pretty far back to find a 3-car train to have any chance of finding more pace. It is as we've clipped the halfway mark a few laps ago. It's the Trespasser show. He and Panteo just running away from everyone else.
Joining us in the commentary box is Mr. Number from FM. Welcome aboard, Number.
Hello, guys. Hello, guys.
Well, first off, thank you for this wonderful series. The Fox Endurance Series has been quite well received for the most part and has provided some fantastic racing. And so yeah, thank you for that. Talk to us about your race so far.
Oh, I think race went great. I was just listening to Travis and his take on the race. I just want to correct him and say that I don't agree. Trespasser and Panteo are definitely not running away with this race. I think that Unite will win it. Trespasser and Panteo have to pit again. And
Fair enough.
Me and Unite, especially me, I was saving fuel for whole stint. So Frace will be able to run to the end without pitting. But our only problem is that Unite forgot to join Discord before the race, so he wanted to join during the race. In the process of joining Discord, he turned his car off, and I bumped into his rear.
What a noob.
Causing me to have a damage repair on pit stops. Because, of course, we have to change tire compounds, and yeah, so Unite will basically win this because he's a noob, yeah.
Well, I am happy to be corrected. You have done an awful lot more oval racing than I have. I've watched a lot and I have called a few, but you have done the driving. So I appreciate that insight. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, the fuel with a full tank you can do like 72, 73 laps. So on the whole race, it's like 4, 5, 6 laps short, depending if you manage to catch a 2, 3, or 4 car draft.
Just so you know, Nico Pantola has joined, or has been caught by Spiky, Upsas, and F-Starter. That 3-car draft with Upsas and Spiky and F-Starter let them catch up. Now Nico looking to be in a 4-car draft with F-Starter, so I'm going to presume that F-Starter, knowing that he's right at the back after that incident, will just hang on the back of the 4-car draft and let Unite, Spiky, and Upsas be a fast 3-car draft, and then he be the 4th wheel. And as he did with Trespasser and Pantheon and Christian earlier, just enjoy the benefits of the massive hole in the air punched by them. So if Trespasser and Panteo have to pit again, this could be the battle for the podium.
Oh, they surely have to pit. Opsis and Spiky, I think, will not be able to lengthen this fuel to the end, so they will still have to pit. Now it only depends when Pantio and Trespasser will pit, because we're looking that Fresh might be in their group when they pit again. So basically, it might be down to Unite running alone and Three Spacer, Pentio, and Fresh catching him at the end of the race.
Lap
That's what I'm
50.
hoping.
That's a very well thought hope. Lap 53 was the last stop for Uxas and Spiky. Trespasser and Panteo last pit on lap 30.
Yeah, so I think lap 105 for Pentio and Three Spacer will be their pit stop, and well, you can do like 70 to 73 laps, so Spike and Abscess will be like laps 120. And Unite, if he lifts a lot, he will be able to make it to the end.
So while we're talking about them, this is getting a bit dicey for Trespasser and Panteo now. They were moving through a couple of back markers, still with Christian working together with them, but now they got Hero Loco and Ayub with them, and they cannot quite drop them. Hero Loco will say that he has a reputation, so I think these guys would be a bit nervous driving around him. Though they've been working this three-car draft pretty well in order to keep the pace up, they might be able to drop these guys. Number, perhaps you could tell us, because you obviously know a lot more than I do. You've got the experience. How hard is it to work a 3 or 4 car draft and find a gap, find a space to drop some cars behind you that you don't want to run with? How do you do it?
I'd say it depends who you run with and who you catch and who you want to lose. I'd say it's not such a problem to if you drive with somebody that you know and it's good and all. I mean, if you drive with Trispacer or Pentio, or like those two that are driving now together, I think they should.
Unite's in traffic. Oopsus and Unite got split off from Spiky and F Starter at some point. Mr. Fetch is in between this battle. I didn't see what happened with them, but so that 4 car has split into 2 car drafts, and that's actually quite a major gap now between the 4 of them.
Yeah, I don't see any damage. Looked like, I assume it was just a bit of a miscue going into or through the corner there. Looks like they've got it sorted out now. Sorry to interrupt you there, Number. Perhaps you can finish that thought.
Yeah, so I'd say for experienced guys, it shouldn't be a problem to lose somebody that is not as experienced. But if you're like Trispacer and Pentio and you want to lose Fresh, you're not gonna lose him.
Fair enough.
It's impossible in Fox to lose somebody that knows what he's doing. And for your question about 3 or 4 car drafts, you really need a blading team. You really need guys that have done it together before. It's not like somebody can come in and do a good 3 or 4 car draft without doing it like 200-300 laps of practice.
Of course, that makes sense.
Spiky is in the middle of 2 back markers, Mr. Fetch and F Starter, and I wonder if F Starter had been working quite well with a lot of others earlier, so we know he has some sort of pace and some knowledge of what to do, and I wonder if Spiky wants to try and drop Mr. Fetch.
Yeah, F Starter, he spent a lot of time running as the 4th car and just using the momentum of the cars ahead of him. I don't know that we saw him working together in the draft trading position. Now, that's kind of a rough place to pass. Mr. Fetch just gets into F Starter going through the kink there, and again going into turn 1. These guys have not found a rhythm. Spiky, I think, is going to be kind of frustrated with these guys banging wheels behind him when what he really needs is someone to go with. Number, since you're still here with us, moments like these, how do you keep your composure? What can you do with the guys behind you to try to find a rhythm? It's hard. Oh, Spiky's ducking into the pits now. Yeah, what can you do when you need to get someone behind you to work with you?
Well, you have to adjust yourself to him. So basically, you know that he doesn't have the knowledge how to run proper 2-3 car drafting. So just position your car in a way that he has to get a draft.
Fair enough. Sorry
like,
to interrupt.
Even if he doesn't want to.
Sorry to interrupt. While that was happening, Hero Loco managed to get himself a drive-through penalty. Deco, I didn't see exactly what happened.
He sped coming into the pit lane while he was trying to serve the drive-through penalty that Synditas got him for their car while he was coming to the pit lane for their stop earlier. And with some damage that Haraloco has, he apparently had an impact with the wall. The right-hand side of the car is ruined, so that is things have gone from bad to worse to ugly for the number 46 car.
So
That's
while that
Loco in
happens,
a
Spiky
nutshell.
coming out of the pits now. He's going to be alongside the cars he was running with earlier. He's going to come out with his teammate Upsus and Unite. This is really good for him. He timed this perfectly. Though he might just be a little bit too far back. I don't know that he's going to come out with them, though they punch a pretty big hole in the air. No, they're too far ahead. He's going to have some catching up to do. He may have to work with the cars behind him or hope that the cars ahead get a little bit out of rhythm. So another question to you, Number. In Spiky's position, what do you do when this happens? How do you decide whether you should just put your foot on the floor and try to forge ahead and hope you can catch the guys ahead of you, or do you immediately decide to fall back and try to find a draft partner?
Well, he did it, so he wanted to get away from them, but considering that I think he has like 20-25 more laps worth of fuel on his board he had before the pit stop. In his position, I think that Frez was like 5 seconds behind him. I would slow down for Frez. You can easily gain those 5 seconds back in 25 laps, and it would be easier to overtake lapped cars with a partner. That's what I would do.
For those watching, I think we'll call that the best advice because Number's done an awful lot of this, certainly more than Jonathan and I have.
Oh Lord, I've spent enough time around this oval that I know way too much about it myself. There's only been what 7 or 8 Kyoto 500s and 8 or 9 Kyoto 250s. Digressing, 2/3 distance done. Coming to get 49 laps to go now as Trespasser, Pantheo, and Christian come across the line. Christian has worked his way up to P6 by hanging out with Trespasser and Christian. Christian also having pit on lap 30, so the three of these could be pitting at the same time here in a few laps if it's indeed true. Number, you've been saying 70, 73 laps or so.
Yeah, I think
is that
like
solo or is that with drafting 2 or 3 car?
No, that's with drafting 2 cars. So yeah, solo it's taking a bit more.
Is there what would you say the difference is between a well-formed 2 car and a 3 car draft in the fuel you use?
Well, if you do it smart, if you do it like me and Unai did it, I think you can gain like 10% of fuel consumption. So if you like lift at the exit of the turns and give yourself maximum space so you still do not lose the draft, but you can lift as much as possible and then just power on and just catch him before the corner starts. You want to pass the guy right on the entry to the turn. You don't want to pass him in the middle of a straight because that just means you're running half of a straight on your own without draft.
Edgar's Perlins is drafting with Unite and Upsas in a 3 car draft, and that gave Edgar Perlins the fastest lap with a 44.7. And
Yeah, I
their
was about to
gap
say-
is under 20 seconds now to the first 2.
Yeah, I was about to say while we're getting this excellent lesson on oval driving from Number, Upsos and Unite have found one another in the draft and are working together, and they got Pullins here, and they're working a pretty good 3 car train. Pullins obviously setting the fastest lap, doing a good job helping these guys put together a slightly better pace than a 2 car train can do, and working pretty well together.
Oh, that helmet.
I had not noticed it until you said something. It does look really good. I love that. Number, do you get nervous about back markers when you're going around, coming into the later stages like this? Obviously, you need somebody to work with to keep the pace high in the draft, and a back marker that knows how to do it is better than, perhaps a driver on the lead lap that isn't as good at it. When At what point in the race do you want a back marker to move aside and let you run with the other draft partner? Or do you want to run with that guy for the entire distance to try to use him, strategize around him to win a race or finish well?
Hold that thought. Our previous race leaders have pit. Trespasser has given the card to Young Tommy B. Panteo and Christian come in. So now that puts Unite and Obsess into the lead with pull-ins. Al Payson and the number 78 car are just. So now there's a 5-car group here, and Unite and Obsess trying to get through without losing too much time. And it looks like they have finally done so. Pullins sticking with them. So that's giving Unite and Obsess the lead.
Yeah, as I said, lap 105. Yeah.
You are a
Yeah,
wise man.
You absolutely called it. Unite and Upsas out in the front of this race. Interesting how Upsas he was running further back with his teammate Spikey, who's now pretty far down the order after a miscue on pit stops earlier. Upsas has found his way to the front with Unite. Fair play to him, and good fortune for him after a miscue with his teammate running at the front of the race after doing a good job in the draft, staying consistent.
Obsess last pit stop lap 53. So I would assume logic would say he would have to pit again here in the next 12 or so laps.
Yeah, it certainly isn't going to hold up for him, but he's done well to find the lead of the race pretty late. So good job to him to stay consistent and stay up there.
So the gaggle of 3 that we've been watching earlier in the race that had just pit, they come out about 15 seconds behind Unite. And about 10 seconds ahead of Fraz.
Sorry, Jonathan. Now that that's shaken out and the cars are grouped off again and going around, we can return to our question number: back markers.
Well, I guess if you're running alone, like, I'll take an example of a Fress now. So Fress is running alone. He's gonna take anybody who he can. I think even if he gets to Hero Loco, he's gonna use him, because even if, as I said before, even if the guy doesn't know what he's doing, if he's able to turn the wheel and if he's able to hold the throttle up, you're gonna make him faster. You're gonna make him faster than he does. He doesn't even know how to go fast, and you're gonna make him go fast. And I would definitely use anybody that I can catch. If I'm running solo. If I'm running with another car and I'm happy with him, I'll shake off the back marker. And a lot of times, if you're running solo and you get to 2 back markers, you can pick the better pick and just shake off one of them. And I mean, the other back marker that doesn't lose you will be happy to follow you. So there's no love lost there.
You
can always shake somebody off.
Yeah, you said that, he went. Hero Loco went through, and then the third car in this train wasn't able to go with him to get the big draft going. So now he's just trading positions with Hero Loco. Hero Loco's a little far behind now, so he's not going to have the momentum coming into the corner here. He may like a late move if he does. Yeah. So
the thing is, sorry to interrupt you. When you're in position like that, you wanna. Frez will try to position his car in a way that he gives his draft very fast to Hero Loco. So Hero Loco gets the draft, the car behind doesn't. So as you see, Frez had the option here to lift back and pull the third car back in, but he didn't want to. It looks like he just wants one car to drive with him.
Yep.
It's a lot of strategy there behind driving in circles with full throttle on.
Right. So it looks like basically you're telling us that it's on Fraz to make Hero Loco decide where he's going to pull in and try to give him the biggest hints he can about where he wants him to go.
Yeah, I mean, Fraz will definitely just go wide on every turn, And Hero Loco is not a moron. He knows that if the door opens, he will go for it. I mean, Hero Loco even goes for the door that it's not open. So yeah, he will definitely go for the pass. And yeah, that means that yeah, he's just doing what Frest wants him to do. And if you see now, Frest is staying wide to give himself a slingshot to the next turn. So even if Herlock just has to drive his own line, and Frest will accommodate himself in a way that Herlock will always get a draft. Now Frest will go wide to give Loco the draft because he knows that Loco will not chase him.
Sure, fair enough. Thanks for that insight. Appreciate that.
Joining us now in the commentary box is Trespasser, fresh out of the car.
Hello.
Hello, Darius. How was your race so far?
Decent, just was a mistake on Pantheo's side on fuel, but maybe we will catch him back now.
It was phenomenal watching you all set up that four-car draft earlier. You've got Ayub on the back of the three of you now
Nice.
with the two Tejo cars.
Now it's waiting when Oops is pitting, so we might catch a bit at least to P1.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure if Unite will be good on fuel. He pitted on lap 75, so if he has to do less 30 laps solo, it will be hard to
No,
save enough fuel.
he's now drafting with three cars, so if Oops is pitting, now car number 93 is with him, so.
Oh yeah, he has balance. Didn't notice that. I was watching Frez doing his lonely race.
Yeah, but Fraz was so long for a solo, so we got quite a bit behind.
A few drivers getting upset with Mr. Fetch right now. Spiky and F-Starter are with him, and I was just looking through the field and had my heart leap up into my throat for a moment with Mr. Fetch almost getting squeezed in a sandwich between F-Starter and Spiky going to turn one.
I mean, I think he's off. God, that was close. Yes, I almost right. It was almost a crash. Yeah, I was holding back.
Let's broken that up a little bit. So Mr. Fetch sticking with Spiky.
Yes, but I think Mr. Fetch is quite a newbie in this, so he doesn't understand what to do.
Yeah, but Spike is not helping
Yeah,
himself here.
because Spike is pissed.
Spikey now needs to
Our
allow
group-
him.
Our group of the Tejo cars and Young Tommy B are actually coming up on these three.
Oh, I will need to text blue flags, I think.
No, there's a chance for Spikey to run away. I mean, Spikey, if he's smart, and he's not kind of doing the job that he should be now, but he should use Fetch to catch Firestarter and then lose Fetch with
The
Firestarter.
good news is that 3 car draft.
Oh,
we got
contact
third
there.
one up ahead. That's
Sorry
it.
to interrupt.
Oh,
Mr. Fetch got walked out of that, it seems.
yeah, that's dangerous.
Yeah, it looked like he got into Spiky there. Looked like Spiky was awfully frustrated. It seemed like Spiky was trying to squeeze him there to try to get him out of it, and then they came together.
Oh, he was showing him hints that he doesn't want to drive with him.
Yes,
Doing that for about 10 laps.
at least.
At least, yeah. So, minimal disturbance then to our three cars here. They've
Yes,
reformed back up now.
They lost 4 tenths.
So 4/10 loss, but 4/10 is better than being involved in the shunt.
Yes. Now just wait till Upsus is pitting.
Fresh is losing 4 tenths every lap.
I mean, if Panteo had full tank, we will be P1, P2 now. Be quite a margin,
Hey,
but
how much did you lose on the pit stop? Do you know?
35 seconds.
So Abscess will be with Fresh for the last 30 laps when he pits. I think he will pit in next 5 laps.
Yeah, I think so too. But start was so lucky.
Travis, we are 117 or 118 laps into this race. Would you mind taking us through the order?
Yep, about as you said, about 80% of the way through. We got Upsus and Unite at the front. I won't call either one of them in the lead because they are trading the lead several times every lap. So Upsus, Unite at the front positions 1 and 2. Behind them, we got Young Tommy B, Panteo running together with a couple back markers in a 3-car train. Fraz behind them, running by himself. Then behind them, the FM teammate of Al Payson. Behind them, Arc. I'm going to say Arc Size running with Al Payson. They just traded position. Sidge behind them. Then Spiky just involved in that moment we saw just a minute ago. Teo Christian running with Young Tommy B, but down the order a lap behind. Ayu behind them. Curry behind them, Poland's F-starter, who was doing well early, running pretty quick after a pit stop to repair some damage. Mr. Fetch behind him. And at the bottom of the order, we've got Heroloco.
When Unite and Upsas cross the line this time, there will be 30 laps remaining in this 150 lap adventure. So, knowing that Upsas will have to make a pit stop in the next few laps, we reckon, we'll see how Unite can keep up a 2-car draft with Pulins. Pulins, being multiple laps down, has nothing to lose or nothing to gain either, except helping Unite. But if Tommy V and Panteo and Christian can keep up the 3-car draft compared to what will ostensibly be a 2-car draft in a few laps, we'll see how they can bring down that 15.5-second gap. And Upsas seems to have lost it coming out of turn 3 a bit, so he's off that draft a bit. But a lap or two of slow pace while these three get their pace could bring that gap down to maybe 13 or 14 seconds.
Yeah, that was awfully polite by Unite to back out there and let Upsas catch up.
They're all pitting.
They're all pitting into the pits.
Oh no, Villains! Oh, Unite is going to be alone.
Yeah, United already pitted. Oh, Upsas goes sailing past Pulins there coming into the pits. Not sure what's up with Pulins, if he just lacking experience coming into pit lane or if he let Upsas by, but Upsas sailed it around him on the outside, nearly clipped the grass, just gets it slowed down before he comes into pit lane.
So Unite will be on his own. We'll see if he can catch up with anyone or drop back to anyone. The next car back is quite a ways back. Tommy B and Panteo coming across the start-finish line now. Nico in turn 2 now.
Yeah, watching Unite
Christian and Panteo in traffic now.
Yeah, watching Unite to see if he will come out with a draft partner. This will play to Young Tommy B and Panteo because they've been running together and running quickly. Unite's going to be on his own, and they will gobble up a 15-second gap awfully quickly if Unite can't find someone coming around to the pit exit.
Young Tommy B, Christian, and Panteo coming up to the back of Spiky and F-Starter as they come to complete their 123rd lap. F-Starter and Spiky are just working together. They are not on the same lap.
Yeah,
Civitas is up ahead, so Spiky is working to catch with Civitas. Let's watch this and see what happens. F-Starter and Spiky yielding. They know that's a lead battle.
Yeah, F-Starter is pretty well behaved earlier. Spiky obviously wants to do well in this race, but he's fallen a lap back. Looks like they might have just gapped them here. Kind of hard to tell coming through the corner. They
That
punch
does cost Spiky a position to Christian, and they've gotten around Civitas now.
Yeah, I didn't expect them to catch Civitas quite as quickly as they did. Civitas dutifully, as the back marker, staying behind here. He may hold up the cars behind. Oh, he's going to stay in this draft, hopefully. For the sake of the 3 cars at the lead of this train, Civitas will decide to stay behind and just use their draft.
And if he sticks with them long enough, he will pull away from Spiky and F-Starter.
Yeah, while these guys are dicing, the lead, Unite's lead, has come down to 13 seconds just in a couple laps' time. Sige dicing with them a little bit, falls back into line. This 3-car train continues to steam forward. We'll see how much time they've gained coming across the line here.
That cost Christian some time, but he does get up with them, and he will get around the inside of both of them.
They took out 6/10 that lap.
reestablish.
Yeah, they took out 6/10 that lap. Unite still running by himself, hasn't found anyone. He is out alone for miles on track. He's going to come across the line again in just a
12
second.
and a third seconds the gap with 25 laps remaining. This will be a 4-way battle by the end of the race, I would presume.
Yeah, I don't think that gap's going to hold up for another 24 laps. He needs Unite, that is, needs something to happen behind them, kind of disrupt the rhythm for these cars behind, or he needs someone to pit or someone to slow down. He needs something other than his own pace in order to stay at the front of this race.
And did Unite save enough fuel in the drafting he did to make it to the end of the race without having to pit? That was one thing Number was talking about when he was in the booth, is this about 71 to 73 laps with drafting. If he could have maximized that, will he be able to get there? Unite's last stop was on lap 75 halfway.
And another 3/10 off there. Less than 12 seconds the gap now, and these guys continue to work a brilliant rhythm. They've gapped the group behind, so they don't have to worry about the back markers. They will forge ahead at the same rapid pace they've been doing for this entire race. I don't see any way how Unite's going to stay ahead, barring some kind of miracle for him. Now another 3/10 off, the gap creeping down to 11 seconds. Unite needs a miracle.
The only thing between Unite and Penteo and Tommy B, other than 11 seconds, is the drafting pair of Arcgis and Payson. So if our 3 can get around in good stead around Payson and Arcgis, they will then resume the task of catching Nico just up the road by a few seconds.
11 seconds on the nosy now. Watching Unite, he's trying to shorten the track as much as possible. He's not taking the wide line around most of these corners. He's keeping the car pretty tight down through turn 1. He won't bring the car all the way up. Well, he does bring the car all the way up to the wall here. Well, no, not all the way to the wall. Stays on the white line, takes an early line down into the second turn here. And he'll keep the car, I think he'll keep the car pretty low here to shorten the track as much as possible. He's not going to gain much time by taking the wide flowing lines. He needs to cut the distance as much as he possibly can.
Last lap for Nico was a 45.81. Last lap for Tommy B was a 45.01. Empty track ahead of Unite. So there's no hope for him catching anybody.
No, there really isn't. He has the benefit of solitude. He can concentrate and he can try to find a perfect rhythm, being as precise as he possibly can, just working, trying to find the narrowest margins to keep his pace up. But it's not going to compete with the cars behind him. Gap now under 10 seconds, 9.5 back to young Tommy B and Penteo. They are gobbling Unite up.
20 laps to go. Let's just watch on board, let you listen to the sounds a bit as the 3 of Penteo, Tommy B, and Christian work the draft and slowly reel in A. Payson and Arcgis. So as we see Ark just yielding up to the top of the track to let these three get through, A. Payson will be the next to be swallowed up by Christian and Panteo and Tommy B.
Yeah, I think Al will be a little bit annoyed by that. He's not in contention for the lead of the race, but his draft partner just completely aborted and bailed out on him in order to let the leaders through, which is the polite thing to do, but it means it's going to cost Al a fair
But
amount
at
of
the
time.
same point, he will be in a battle with Christian, so he may stick with this, and if he wants to stick at the back with Christian, if he realizes that they're catching the lead, he may let them catch the lead, and then when they catch the lead, he and Christian can break off.
Yep, I think you're right, Jonathan. He's gonna try to make a battle with Christian here. He's just gonna work the back of the line here, much as F Starter was doing earlier.
Yep, so Al joining this battle, but even we'll bring a number back into this one. Would a disorganized 4-car still be faster than Unite Solo?
Seems like we're having a bit of difficulty with number here. We'll check on him.
Payson has now dropped back from that.
Yeah, I was about to suggest that because he runs with these guys all the time, has some more experience on the oval, that it might be to their benefit for him to run with them. But he's fallen off the tail now, and it won't make a bit of difference. It's a 3-car train trying to chase down Unite, which they should be able to do with 27 laps remaining.
Unite coming across the line now to complete 134 laps. 16 laps remaining.
Thank you for correcting my mathematics, Jonathan. 16, not 26, 27. I was off by 10.
7 seconds left in it.
Unite doing everything he possibly can to find just every scrap of time. When we came back to him across the line on the last lap, he just missed the wall in the tri-oval. He is running all the way down on the white line in the turns. He has to do absolutely everything, squeeze out every last thousandth in order to stay in front. And he's using everything, all the tools he has available to him to try to do so.
Unite has not changed tire compound.
That's
so
terrible
he's going
for
to
him.
have to pit.
Man, it looked like it didn't look hopeful because he's running out here by himself and the guys behind him are running so quickly. But it's over for him now since he didn't change compounds earlier. Now he has to in order to stay within the rules. Yeah, that's it for him. Now that's a shame because it looked like it was going to be a sprint for the finish for these guys to try to catch him before the end. It's going to be pretty tight, but now he's committed to making a pit stop. It'll be young Tommy B and Teo Panteo racing for the win.
Nico did join last minute right before the race started, so it's entirely possible he did not have a chance to set his strategy. Gap is 5.5 seconds now, but effectively the battle for the win is between Panteo and Tommy B. They've worked together all race, but at a certain point, the working together stops, and the battle for the lead comes in. Upsas and Fraz just behind them on the road. They're coming out of turn 3. Fraz and Upsas are 24 seconds behind, so it's not undoable for Fraz and Upsas with 13 to go in case there's contact or something that happens with Unite.
Yeah, and I think this will get a little bit dicey toward the end of the race. Obviously, 2 cars running close together in the draft for the win is going to be pretty exciting. But we have the element of Christian here running with Panteo. Panteo has a teammate who does not need to stop to try to help him out at the end of the race. you might say it's a little bit unfair, a little bit sketchy to have a back marker in the mix with 2 leaders running for the win, but that's how oval racing goes around here. You run with partners in order to keep the pace up. I doubt Christian's just going to back out of it to let these 2 race. I think Panteo will use everything he has available to him, to include his teammate, to try to secure a win here. If we've got Number in the box with us, if we've sorted out his mic issues now, maybe he can weigh in on these 2 working together to try to secure a win for Panteo.
What?
There we've got it.
Hey, there we go.
I had just said that it might be a little sketchy. I don't want to say dirty, but someone might turn a kind of a curious glance toward Christian working together with Panteo to try to help him get the win here, because Christian is a back marker. I'm curious what you think about that. Young Tommy B, Panteo obviously running for the win here, but Christian's been part of this draft for a long time to keep their pace high and run toward the front. How does Christian figure into the race to the finish in the dying laps?
Well, there are different rules on oval. You can't really enforce blue flags because many of the drivers are more than happy to drive together with a lapped car. So if Christian is good enough to stick with the guys, then he's good enough to make them faster, and I'm sure they are happy that he's with them. And I would say that car 7 can't say on the last lap, no, we don't like you here, because they enjoyed him there with them for the last 100 laps.
We do have a scrap on for P7 between Spiky and Payson and Sig, as they're in a group and they have F starter with them, so we'll be watching that towards the end of the race. There's 3 cars plus a lap. Oh, there's contact!
Oh, they're coming
Spiky and
together!
F starter.
Man, they interlocked wheels, they had a bit of contact and slid around in the grass, and then they all came back onto the racing surface without touching the wall. Absolutely stunning that none of them ended up upside down or wheels into the fence. Pretty amazing recovery by all of those guys after that contact.
Yeah, that's let Al get away, but if Sig and Spiky can get back to working together, they'll be back up with Al here, as they've got 10 laps to go for themselves, but there's 9 to go for Unite, our race leader, who's now only 2 seconds ahead of Panteo and Christian and Tommy B.
At this point, I assume he's either resigned to the fact that his only way to win is to make a stop if these guys have crashed behind him, or he doesn't know, because he hasn't switched compounds and he's still running.
I believe it's a 30-second penalty for failure to use 2 different compounds.
Now 1.5 seconds. They will have him on the next lap, perhaps the one after.
Looking off the gearbox of Unite, those specks in the back are Panteo and Tommy B. Just slowly creeping in. It's an inevitable feeling that when you're solo that you know somebody drafting behind you will catch you. You just hope you can last longer. 7 laps to go at the line this time.
Behind these guys, Obsess and Fraz still running together for what we believe will ultimately be P3. If Unite doesn't come in, he's going to take a penalty for not having changed tire compounds. Obsess and Fraz about to catch a couple back markers, Mr. Fetch and Ayub, so they should be able to clear them pretty easily. They've been running together really well in a good rhythm. They may end up running a 3-car train with these guys, we'll see. But in any case, these 2 will be dicing for the 3rd position on the podium when Unite cycles down the order after he either takes a pit stop or a penalty.
Unite did not pit, and I believe that was the last chance he would have had to do his tire stop, so Unite's going to go to the end anyway and take whatever penalty comes. 6 laps remaining now.
Shame for him because these guys caught him like we expected they would. But he would have been in the mix here for a good finish had he changed compounds. As it is, he's going to fall pretty far down the order. It looked like he made a little bit of contact with Christian there. He's going to try to race with these guys. Now a 4-car train. This getting really dicey here while Panteo and Tommy B try to run for the win here, knowing, perhaps not knowing, that Unite really isn't in the mix.
Unite is going to be disqualified. That is the penalty for failing to use 2 different tire compounds in the race.
Yeah, it might be good for the admins to signal to him here that if he doesn't come in, he's going to be disqualified, because I think everybody would be pretty frustrated if something happens here. Obviously, nobody's going to intentionally cause an incident, but with this kind of dicing, it's easy to make contact. A lag hit can happen at any time, and I think everybody would be pretty upset if it involved Unite when he's effectively out of the race.
So Unite is going to be disqualified. It is definite now because there are less than 5 laps remaining, and if you do not use the second compound before the leader has started the 5 to go, then that is when the penalty would take effect. 4 to go this time. The battle is effectively between Tommy B and Pantheo. Unite is essentially a car that should not be in this group now.
Yeah, and we should mention Christian behind. He had a bit of bad luck early on in the race, and then did really, really well. Great teammate to Panteo and to Tommy B and Trespasser as well early in the race, or for the most of the race, carrying them around, helping them run a fast draft and get away from everybody else. Now politely backing off and just following these guys around, letting them race to the finish.
Unite getting a couple wheels on the apron. So it's between Panteo and Tommy B. 3 to go this time at the line.
Yeah, now they'll start to dice for position a little bit. These guys are thinking about where they want to be in line on, the lap 148, 149, 150.
Oh, Tommy B have had contact! That lets Nico back into the lead on the road, but he is on for a disqualification if it is indeed that he has not used 2 compounds in the race.
Yeah,
that's caught Christian back up. Do they have any damage?
Yeah, something interesting happened there. In that incident, that little miscue where everybody got the car out of sorts, that let Christian catch back up. He used the momentum to go around Panteo, so whereas before he was just following these guys around and letting them race, now he can pull his teammate up to the lead again and then back out of it to let them run without a back marker in the way.
2 more tours of the Kyoto Ring Oval to go in this Fox Endurance race.
And this is going to be really tricky for you, Tommy B and Panteo now, because they've got Christian there working with them. Looks like Christian may drop back again. These guys trying to figure out where they want to be in line so they can make the last pass to go across the finish line in front.
So Tommy B and Panteo, after that little kerfuffle, getting around Unite one more time. Is Panteo on the apron again? That nearly slid him up into Tommy B. Oh, that would be something if they have an incident on the final lap, and that lets Upsas or Fraz be in the battle for the lead. They're coming into turn 3 now. Final lap, white flag in the air, and a drive-through penalty has been given to Nico Patola, so he will not be able to serve that, and that will disqualify him from the race at the end.
Yeah.
So it's right between Tommy B and Pantheo, and Tommy B taking the low line to try and block a run from Pantheo. Let's watch here, see what happens if Pantheo can get a good run.
Yeah,
all the way down to the apron. Tommy B and Nico looking to try and cut across the track. That doesn't work. Pantheo gonna try and slipstream Nico. 1 lapped car up ahead. Pantheo tapping the back of Tommy B coming out of the final corner. Will it be able to move on the line? We have Heroloco up ahead. Tommy B in the slipstream. To the line they come on lap 150. Pantheo tries it, but no! Young Tommy B wins the 150 laps Fox Endurance of Kyoto. So Tommy B and Trespasser on that car taking the win. Pantheo.
Sorry to interrupt, Jonathan. Looking back, Fraz and Upsas got away from each other somehow. Fraz coming across the line right ahead of Edric Pullins. Upsas finished 3rd. Not sure what happened there, but Fraz way behind Upsas, who took 3rd position.
So fastest lap of the race goes to Edgar's Pullins with a 44.7, utilizing the draft out of that. So 1 hour 54 minutes 15.3 seconds the race time. 0.03 of a second the gap between the top two at the end. Loco getting a little involved in that battle, not intentionally, it appeared, but Panteo waited just too long to get that move on.
Yeah, sorry, I was trying to interrupt you there. There was an awful lot of excitement. That drive-through penalty came to Unite a little bit late, and I was trying to say that he should probably get out of the way, and it looked like he did coming around the last corners. They obviously gave a mighty surprise to Loco as they came steaming around the front stretch. He called out a sorry in chat. I don't know there was much he could have done. He did a pretty good job to get out of the way and let those guys race and give us a really exciting finish.
So, Upsas finishing third in that race, 18.9 seconds behind, and Fries, who he was working with, P4, 27.8 behind. So let's go over the final results here. Tommy B and Trespasser taking the race win, completing the 150 laps with 2 pit stops in 1 hour 54 minutes 15.3 seconds. Panteo P2, soloing that race. Oopsas for Born to Race P3, the last step of the podium.
Yeah, let me interrupt you there for a
drift.
second, Jonathan. They're trying to get a podium finish or a podium photo here together. Panteo's gone around to the start-finish line. We've got Pullins in turn 1 trying to flip Upsos back on his wheels again so he can go take the third podium position. He may have to reset and go back out there. Take it away.
Fantastic Fragmaster Fraz finishing fourth in the car he shared with Number. We have P5 is Tejo Christian, working his way back up after early race kerfuffle, helping Tommy B and Pantheo get back to the top. FM's Payson in 6th. Sigita soloing the race in 7th. Born to Race Spiky P8, also a lap down. Arcgis in P9. Born to Race AU rounding out the top 10. Team America car 17. Curry finishing the race for that car in P11. AirTac F starter in P12 after having some significant damage from an incident not his own doing early in the race. Edgar's Perlin is setting the fast lap for the race with 44.7, 3 laps off in P13. Mr. Fetch in P14. And Herloco sharing that car with Simjantas, rounding out in P15, 4 laps adrift.
Looks like Upsas got a reset, so he's coming around now for his third position in the podium photo. Took an interesting line, the rally line through turn 2. I think he's trying to chat while he's driving at the same time. He'll be around in just a moment in order to get the top 3 finishers in the picture on the stream.
So we have a representative from the race-winning team in the box with us, Trespasser.
Hello again.
Yes, thank you for being with us in the box. So, did that race go as planned for you all?
Not really, but win is still a win, so nice. Like, we didn't expect the guys to try one stop. So, the moment they went late, we were thinking that's it. But Number had the fix, and tonight was solo, so we catched. That's got good result to end a year.
When you guys were out there, did you know, when you were chasing down Nico, did you know they had not changed tire compounds, or did you think you were racing him for the win?
For that moment, yes, but at the end, he knew, but he was thinking he decided not to pit, just have fun and finish like that. Because we all are in Fragmaster's Discord, so pretty much we knew.
What was curious what the tone was among you guys at the front talking with one another and racing? Like when you found out that he was going to get a penalty, did you want him out of the way? Were you okay racing with him? How was that?
It was okay because three-way draft is way better, and it was good to have more guys because of blue flags. So we talked to them, please to wait and get through, and for them just to follow, not drafted us. So it's pretty good.
Cool. Glad to hear that.
We have our second place finisher,
Bum, bum, bum,
Panteo.
bum.
Yes, well,
Bum.
welcome to the box, Panteo. Tell us about your race. Good work on the P2.
Well, we got him singing on the way in, but now we're having some kind of difficulty.
And we'll see if we can get some words from Panteo here in a minute.
I think he has Discord and Taste open at the same time. So
Yeah, he's having some audio difficulty. We'll give him a moment to sort that out.
Okay.
Panteo, you here with us? We just heard you say okay.
Yes, I had some difficulties, but it's okay now.
Then we'll get your partner Christian here in a moment. But yeah, Panteo, tell us about your race. Just missing out the race win, but quite good work. You and Trespasser and Tommy B and Christian in that race. How'd the race go from your view?
Well, at the beginning, I started with only 40% of fuel, and I was going to pit on lap 30. Soon after 10 laps of racing, I knew it was a mistake because Trespasser had a full tank, so we had to pit twice instead of once that Trespasser had decided to do. So we had lots to do to get back on top, and when I realized that Unite was driving alone on P1 and we were P2, P3, then we knew that we might have the win. Then on the last lap, I couldn't pass Trespasser and ended up second. I'm happy.
It was a tough break for your teammate Christian early in the race to fall back off the lead lap, but it must have been really nice to have a teammate to run with almost the entire race.
Yeah, sure. It was really nice that he backed up like 15 seconds and wanted to help us, and without him we would not have this result.
And now Tejo Christian in the commentary box with us. Christian, you had some misfortune early in the race, but were able to work with your fellow team member Panteo and Trespasser and Tommy B to get your way back up to a P5 finish.
Yeah, it was good. It was 100% my own mistake why I fell back, and after the pit stop, it just made awfully a lot of sense just to back to Panteo and Trespasser and try to use them as an advantage and help them.
Yeah, we watched you for much of the race and remarked on how well you guys were working the draft, and in particular, like how it was a selfless move by you to fall back and help your teammate. So you got to be pretty happy with this result, even though it didn't go as well for you. A really good race for your team.
Yeah, it was obviously a no-brainer move because I was driving on my own, no draft from anyone, and they were close. At the back, I think I dropped like 15 seconds to just get their draft, and it was the way for me to catch up anyone else. I needed a good draft, and I knew as they were the top two guys that they would need a third guy there as the leaders were going to do a one-stopper.
So there was a moment about halfway through the race where you guys were running with a 4-car train. You had F starter behind you who was just running the 4th car in line and using your momentum, and then he had a bit of an off and went into the wall, took a lot of damage and fell back. What did that look like from your view?
Which incident? Fetch? Because someone was talking to me on the Fragmaster Discord at the same time.
I think it was the incident when 2 cars crashed in T1 and we were dodging it, and he didn't manage.
Yeah, I think we just survived it good. It was a bit
Yeah.
lucky. I thought someone almost took me out there, so it was pretty close there. But glad that I survived it. It was really a game of inches there.
Yeah, yes, it was really close to dodge, so just unlucky for you.
All right. Also in the booth with us, Trustmaster's teammate, young Tommy B. So he's marked as AFK, but we'll see if we can get him in a minute. But so yeah, we've got we had these great moments of absolute mental strain of the incidents up ahead on the road. We had how was blue flagging in general for you guys?
It was decent, just a couple guys a bit harder, but as I said, we are all pretty much in Discord, so it was good to talk and let them know we're there, so let pass please. It was decent, it was really decent this time.
I think it played a factor there that many of the people tried to race us because I was on the same lap as them. So they didn't want to give a position for me for free because I was basically free riding with you past them.
But if I sum up every blue flag, I think this was one of the easiest oval races I've done. Of course, there weren't so many people on the track at the same time, so that helped a lot. But yeah, we had some difficulties with some guys who were trying to race Christian, but otherwise, many people got help from us staying in our draft. And I think when you're doing it mutual, you all benefit.
Looked like so you mentioned finding guys to drive with out there with some of the back markers. The field for this race, 17 cars started. Do you like having a slightly bigger field so that if you get out of the draft, you can find somebody, or is this about right where you've got some room to race and you don't have to worry too much about other cars interfering?
Well, it depends. Sometimes I'd like to see like 30 cars, but when there's so many cars on the grid, I think it causes troubles and crashes. So like 20 cars, decent drivers would be the optimum for me.
I think you can hear me?
Yes, we have you, Tommy. Just a second. We'll talk to you just after we do some promotion of our upcoming events. We have this is Crashmas coming up here in about an hour and a half from 18 UTC at the little mini oval, dirt oval at Fern Bay. Mr. Pete Butcher and some other friends will be joining him for that. That is always a fun event to watch, and so that should be some great banger style racing. Coming up tomorrow from 14 UTC, Travis and Adam Brown will be bringing you the BF1 League by Master Race Cars. This time out their third round from Fern Bay Black. So we'll see how those BF1s can handle Fern Bay Black this time. That should be quite a spectacle to see. And also, it's been out for a week, and we've had quite a lot of signups. The New Dimension Racing GT2 Challenge returns for its second season. Signups are open now on the forum. First round is 10th January. All races will be live on simbroadcast.tv. First round will be at Kyoto National for 45 laps. What a great season that was, or series that was last year. In the 4 rounds, quite a lot of strategy over those 80 minute races getting to play out. All of this, of course, on simbroadcast.tv. You can always check out what we're up to for Simbroadcast on our website, simbroadcast.tv. So we can come back to our drivers in the box with us. Tommy, congratulations on the win. You and Trespasser sharing that car. Tell us about the finish from your point of view.
Well, the race was very crazy. I mean, it was so intense all the time, and Trespasser did for sure the good job to keep the car up there. And I also want to thank Pantheo and Kristen for the drafting, so we catch up the Unite. So yeah, it was awesome for me.
A few laps to go, you and Panteo had some contact in turn 1. What happened with that?
Yeah, actually I tried to block the inside to battle the last 2 laps, so yeah, it didn't went as I hoped it will, but yeah, it wasn't nothing big, so yeah.
All right, well, I think we're going to see if Number, are you with us?
Yeah.
Would you like to say some words about the series as a whole?
Well, I hope drivers driving it liked it. I expected a bit more races in some of the rounds, but I guess that long races and having guys being as fast as Isaac and Yoni were, it made it difficult for other teams to catch up, so they probably lost motivation. It started well. I think that first 2 rounds we had world records beaten in the build up to the races on KY3 and SO4R. And to be fair, I don't think that Isaac and Yoni were that much faster than anybody else. They were just more consistent and with less bad luck, but that's what happens in racing, especially in endurance racing. I'm not sure we will repeat the series. It will probably go down as one-off. But yeah, we might make an occasional endurance race, maybe coinciding with some anniversaries for our Fragmasters, GTI, and Fox races that we do each Thursday and Friday. I think this was a bit much for whole community to race that many races in that short span of time. But yeah, we tried it. I think it was fun. This oval race was definitely fun to watch, even if it didn't go to my plan. Yeah, I hope that everybody else was having fun driving. And I want to thank you to everybody that participated in the league.
Definitely great racing to watch. And then joining us now in the commentary box, he finished 6th today. Al Payson, welcome to the box.
We'll give Al a second to sort out his audio.
Number, what plans? What's next for Fox Friday? I think you took this past week officially off, and next week is another off day, with it being New Year's Day.
Yeah. Just a second. You did hear me talking before, right?
Yes.
So, yeah, okay. I guess I turned off my mic in between. I didn't even notice. Okay, so for the Fox Fridays, we were having fun oval races yesterday, and we think we will have some fun races next week also. So the server will be open. admins will be there, at least one of them, but it will not be point scoring races. There will not be points for the Fragmaster Championship. And we will start from the first week of January. I think it's 7th January, right? With a West Hill layout that Stepan picked when he won his race. I think we will have 600 race next year. I'm not sure. I think it's 600, so we will prepare something special for that, and for the 11th year also. Yeah, it will be 11. It's 11th season actually next year.
What a fantastic thing that you've been able to keep it going for years. Fox has always been a very popular car, and it's good that despite everything that it's been able to keep going.
Yeah, I mean there have been some rough. I think there have been some rough years. I wasn't even around for some of them. Looking back, I think that 2012 was least attended, and it's been going up since then. I think since 2016, 2017, it's been going really up. Last year and a half, we've been having mostly full server with 40 drivers every week.
We set a record this year, actually, for the amount of drivers this year.
Yeah, that's
Hi.
Al Payson just popped in. Al, welcome. And
Paige,
you
I
are
think
one of the stats czars for FM, aren't you?
That's right. Yeah, I'm a bit of a geek that way.
I do it for New Dimension Racing, so yeah, I understand. But yeah, so real quick, Al, your thoughts on the race? You came 6th on that.
Yeah, I didn't expect to do as well as I did. I'm normally not a good oval guy. I don't do it a lot. And I knew that if I didn't have a racing partner, that it was just going to be this, endless drive. So I wanted to make sure I teamed up with somebody I liked, and I did.
That's all right. So any general thoughts you have on the series as a whole?
You mean the endurance series or Fragmasters in general?
Endurance series.
For me, it's the timing is not really working out so much. It's a little too early in the morning for me, especially when I have those late nights out here. I'm in North Carolina on the East Coast of the USA, and so I wasn't able to make them all. I did a couple, and I was exhausted at the end.
Myself being on the East Coast of the USA, I understand those early calls. Alrighty, well, Travis, any final thoughts you have from today's event?
Well, I was going to add a remark really quick that it's interesting getting some of the LFS old timers back together here. Al was one of the first people I met when I started playing Live for Speed. Did his Road to Formula One league with DSR, and then joined the DSR team for a while. So it's interesting to hear everyone's perspectives on the longevity of some of these events and leagues and teams, and how the community is still going. So I thank him and everyone else for those thoughts.
Oh, Travis, who were you on DSR?
Maber.
Oh, hey, Maber. What's up, man? I haven't seen that name in a long time.
Yep, it's me. We're here. I'll kick it back over to Jonathan.
Alrighty, well, thanks to FM for the Fox Endurance Series. Don't forget to check out their GTI Thursdays and Fox Fridays. Always a great show every week. They're put on by them. And everyone else that joined us in the commentary box, and everybody that raced today, thank you all very much for joining us. And those of you watching, stick around. Here in just over an hour, Pete and friends will be with you for This Is Crashmas from 18 UTC. So you've got a little over an hour to get a bite to eat, take care of the things. But join us for This Is Crashmas, and then join Travis and Adam tomorrow morning at for those of you stateside, and early afternoon for Europe from 14 UTC, the BF1 League from Fern Bay Black. So a full weekend of racing here on Sim Broadcast and in Live for Speed. Special thanks to Elmo, Chris McElroy, and Pete Butcher in the background doing cameras and spotting for us. And to all of you for watching and racing, thanks for joining us here. The Teamwork Racing car of Tommy B and Trespasser taking the win in today's Kyoto 150 laps of the Oval for that's Yes Motorsports, excuse me. They'd been TR early in the year. Get my notes confused, but I digress. So again, for everybody racing today and for watching, I'm Jonathan Palmer for Travis Mehlinger. So long, everybody.